hate when guys text you, did you take the plan B? No. I forgot.
Sit back.
No. I don't like that music. Let me find that different music, man. The hell is that? All right, enough of that. Enough of that. What's good, everybody? What's good? What's good? This is Chaos Rain here. As y'all know, today, as you know, and before I go into any festivities, the thing I find very ironic when I do these streams is it leads me to a much deeper rabbit hole, wherever that means. And I watch a lot of content in my times for the last couple of years. Certain content creators I follow, some I stopped following, whatever. But the thing that bothered me the most, I even go as far as even now we had to have this discussion. I was very disappointed, personally. And I mean this in good faith. But let's be honest here. This thing we call a YouTube algorithm is full of shit. Yes, I have to say this personally. And the reason why I say this is because I posted something, and y'all guys can find this in my community tab, of how I was so pissed, etc., in short detail, and gave y'all take with the poll. I did not get this notification till like hours later of today, and I rarely get notification when I post anything on my community tab. And what I always been said about YouTube and the algorithm, it has proven me right, spot on. That this platform, if you really want to get anything out of this, you're going to have to be chaotic. You're going to be destructive. You're going to have to show your emotions, your frustration, anger. And the algorithm will reward you and will let you know that it's been posted everywhere. And I don't want to tell people this, but this application does not favor if you're a certain ethnicity. If you put out real good stuff, you will not get seen in the algorithm. I'm sorry to tell you, if you put out something that's positive or anything, it will not post your shit. It is what it is. And I come to grips to that. And I hope you too as well. Now, hold on. As you know, to leave off the introductions, welcome to those that subscribe to the Chaos Rain channel, and welcome those that will subscribe in the near future. And if you don't know how to subscribe, you know the drill. You hit that red button, top notification bell for uploads and live streams here in the Chaos Rain channel. Also, follow me on Twitter at Chaos Rain 7, and add me as a friend on Facebook, Eric Rain on Facebook, and join the Discord service of the Chaos Rain channel. Those links are in the About section of this channel. And really, truly, let me see if anything else out here. Comes looking for my feeds. I'm just going for it. It's interesting that there was a post by the one in Dr. Umar Johnson of his discussion on today's topic, which really is today's topic, as you know, is Umar Johnson versus Cynthia G. What the F? Now, if y'all recall, I think Cynthia did content about Omar months ago, maybe a year ago and stuff. And Omar has not really mentioned any content on Cynthia G until I would say their interactions on the so-called Fox Weirdo channel, which is not really so, because when I look at Soul Black folks, I didn't know the Soul Black folks comprised of a good portion, a lot of women. I think majority women, mostly feminist women, and I guess homosexual and transgender people on that show, or what they want to call now transformers, which you can't be a transformer because you have to be. And matter of fact, I do you something better, people. I will do you something better. Yes, that's what they have on that platform. It's a whole bunch of nonsense, shenanigans, and foolishness. Nothing of intellectual, nothing of thought, besides the guests that decide to sign off and join their channels on YouTube. And if I Google right now, Fox Soul right now. Let me see if I can find it before I continue. Fox Soul. Let me see what's their audience base range. Fox Soul has almost 400K subscribers. They have 385K subscribers with countless videos. So, and mind you, the one name, what's her name, Claudia Jory, she has a plethora of men, or I like to call Pogi men. If you don't know what Pogi man is, go back to my YouTube channel, find the previous live streams I've talked about Pogi men. That will give you more of a definite answer or understand what they are. I'm not gonna go regurgitate or go back about what they are personally. I think it's pointless on this stream. Use your brain. I mean, I put the content already. You should be able to find it. So, personally, yeah, I know. Personally, that whole platform, as I see it and as I know it, is something that after this, I'm not sure if I'm going to do any more content, if I really waste my time doing content on Fox Soul. Because I came to the conclusion, if you are a straight heterosexual black man, besides getting your name out there, if it's not in that regards, you should only do it one time. But keep in mind that on that platform, if you're a straight man, you're going to be constantly scrutinized. You're going to be put to the pedestal. You're going to be constantly fingers point on you. And even go as far as they're going to look at you as something of an anomaly and something that should not exist. From what I'm noticing firsthand. Majority of the women that you see that's on there, some of them, majority of them got a man or keep man, and some of them are washed up low-class actors or actresses at best. So, really, truly, I'm probably gonna do this little breakdown of this nonsense that I saw. I watched more than once now because I've seen mostly cover this crap now. And I'll be honest with you, personally, people, I'm not really impressed now from what I'm seeing now. So no further ado, we're gonna let this. Oh, matter of fact, let me put the banners up. I forgot. And like always, we will use fair use for this one. As much as I don't want to, but you know, they do this for clickbait for people to sit there and have to look at it and dissect it firsthand. So no further ado, let's do this weird breakdown of this nonsense.
So I first want to say there is a war on Black men by other Black men. And for that reason, I do think that we should care. I think that the perception of who's going to war against Black men is going to determine where our energy is directed. And I think it's counterproductive to focus on the group of men who are terrorizing the Black community simply because they're being bullied there's no war against them by other people. They're being bullied by other groups of men. So that's why we care.
Dewan, why?
And as you know, you see the people sitting on this screen. This new dude, I don't know who this dude is on the lower end of Cynthia G. I know Dr. Umar Johnson. I know, and I've recognized this woman with the glasses. I think it's Tammy Mack or Tamara Hall, whatever her name is. And you know, this individual on the left-hand side, as you know, that is and I did not notice until I came across other content creators that reveal who this character is. The one on the far left upper corner of Umar Johnson is the one and only. Yes. I'm even going to give the name of this character because, and here's the funny thing about all this. I know certain states, they put laws, you know, where you have to reference these weirdos as, you know, they are proclaim that they are a woman, or even this new term, a lot of females out here putting out, call themselves he, she. I think we live in the world today. We live in the end of times, personally. I don't know what they call it. Now you say you're for US, and mind you, I've noticed with a lot of females profiles and other social medias, they'll put out in subtext he, she, or she, he, wherever you want to call it. And it gets very weird to me. Very weird. And I'm gonna tell you personally, if you are a straight man, you're in problems right now. Possibly. No, actually you are. And always hit the like button and share this if you want. That's optional. Yeah. But let's keep going. Yeah.
Should we care as Black Americans? There's a war out on your kind, being Black men.
We should care because Black men are the breadwinners of our society. And what we've seen, especially over the last 50 years, is the jobs that Black men specifically take have been taken away to other countries or put back into prison, which has then affected the whole family, which caused the so-called war on Black men, like Cynthia G just said, happens when Black men fight each other. That happens when the economy is destabilized. And you destabilize the economy through destabilizing the foundation of Black men's income to ability to earn income. So that's where the war on Black men is right now.
Hope, why should Black people care?
We should care simply because when Black men are not happy, Black women can't thrive, and then the Black household and Black families don't flourish. I think that as long as Black men feel attacked, they're always going to turn that back where they feel like they have the most power and honestly say so, which is the Black family. Oftentimes that energy that we pour into who is doing what to other people is then neglected within our own Black men, and then they cannot thrive as fathers, as nurturers, as caretakers, as heads of the household. But they can only do that if we acknowledge that there's a problem outside of us.
Dr. Umar, you, my sir, are a Black man. Why should I care about?
Now, through the course of this stream, and much times I will allow this, and I might let this person, wherever it is, talk. But I'm not regards to really let it talk long. Because from what y'all don't understand, and it's proven evident, and I try to cut Fox Soul some slack to a degree, because really if these people that run and control the network or find ways to put Black people, give them some form of employment, I would say, okay, that's fine to a degree. But not in regards where if you're going to put in regards to the voice and opinions of Black people, you should at least, it should be a subpar majority of the community that's not really, all women and weirdos, like, transformers or homosexuals and stuff, And mind you, these are the people that, is on upper top, unfortunately, are the representation of the Black community in America. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, let's keep going. And like always, fair use.
About a war being waged against you.
If you care about the future of Black people, then you naturally have to care about the destiny of Black men. When you look at most of the pathology in the Black community today, from Black on Black crime to single female headed households to poor academic outcomes, to unemployment. Much of that is due to the war against Black men. So if we want to survive and thrive as a Black family and as a Black community, we have to implement solutions for Black men.
So Cynthia G says that the war is waged against Black men towards Black men. So everything that you just listed, Cynthia would suggest that that is the fault of the Black man on his own.
And I would disagree with that. All of the problems that Black men have were introduced by the white power structure. We do not control the school system. We do not control the criminal justice system. We do not control the economic system. All of the problems that we struggle from were introduced by the white power structure. Black on Black crime is a byproduct. It is a second-hand influence of the white power structure against Black males. Stress, depression, fatherlessness, unemployment, miseducation, lack of economic opportunity. These are the ingredients that contribute to Black on Black crime. You cannot do an effective and accurate analysis of Black on Black crime until you first do an effective and accurate analysis of white on Black crime.
Cynthia G.
Now, before I let this lady talk, I remember a book that I read, and I might have to compile that and make a short, lengthy series of it on either on this channel or another channel, possibly. Black on Black violence, servitude into white domination by Amos N. Wilson, wrote and compiled back in 1990, published around either 1990 or 1991, roughly 31 to 32 years ago. He goes into the pathology, psychology of Black on Black violence. I'm not sure why the fuck people still don't understand. You see, this is the problem with our people. We do not read none of these books from any either person that has doctrine that's Black or some scholar that did the research and a thorough research. We're now in the first 20 years in the 21st century, right? And why are we still pathologizing on Black on Black violence? Regardless if it's starting to go down or it's starting to take uptake. We know the source why we have Black on Black violence. Now, Omar has to re-educate people that either give a fuck or don't give a fuck. But let's be honest. The three women you see on top, especially Tamara Hall, either she wherever not does not give a crap. We know the one on the right, Bald Eagle, Cynthia G, don't give a fuck. And this definitely don't give a fuck, because this person changed, and I think God would probably go all the way and change the whole sexual gender. We're not sure, but let's continue. And like always, fair use.
You say what?
I say this is the typical Black community's dishonest. I'm going to blame everything on everyone outside of the Black community and ignore what Black men are choosing to do. The reality of it is the system is not making Black men do anything. Whether Black men have schools where they can send their boys to is up to them. Whether Black men just choose to educate themselves so that they're qualified for positions that will give them the income they need to support their families, that is on Black men. Nobody's forcing Black men to walk away from their children. Nobody's forcing Black men to murder Black women every 5.5 hours. Nobody's forcing Black men to abandon their children, publicly display how they don't like or care about their children. No one's forcing Black men to do anything. And I think it's a great disservice to pretend that someone is forcing Black men to do things rather than to put the accountability where it needs to be, which is Black men. If they have an issue with the system, they should have addressed it a long time ago. You don't get to complain that you don't have any power in a system that you didn't fight to have power in. You fought for assimilation. You did not fight for equality. It's on you. I think we're making excuses at this point.
Dwan?
And before Dr. Umar Johnson speaks his piece, and I had this conversation with Mary. You see, when we don't understand the fight for the rights which Black people have participated in, these Europeans not going to give you anything unless you show some form of resistance. And I would be honest to be add on that eventually they were going to shift wherever the racial oppression how it is with the segregation in regards to, red line and all stuff. They were going to shift it into a new direction. personally. Because let's be honest, America was going to operate back then, even now, is they got to keep the illusion of inclusion to keep the game going. What's good? What's good, Mr. Gold Professor? What's good? And they keep this game around because black people have not understand and learned after being around for such a long time that they don't like you. They're not in business of seeing you in any progress state. They rather have you in a different form of servitude where you don't show less resistance. And that's now a collective decision right now. So don't be fooled by, what she's saying, into the point now said, we look at the reality, is black people don't give a fuck, personally. That's how I look at it. Let me check the chat room, see everything's going good. If I continue this. Yeah. Hey, what's good? What's good? Make sure you guys like the stream. I'll periodically look at the chat room, but overall, just like the stream. Person, just like the stream. Let me see. Hold on, guys. All right. So let's continue this. Fair use.
I would like to say,
Go ahead, Dr. Umar.
Briefly, that Lyndon Baines Johnson had commissioned a Kerner Commission in 1967-68 to investigate the causes of the 1967 Red Hot Summer. As you know, there were more race riots across America in 1967 than any other year since 1919. Led by Newark, New Jersey, and Detroit, Michigan. The Kerner Commission were experts in criminology, sociology, education, politics, and etc. They produced a book that is, I believe, at least 500 pages that details the reasons why those riots took place. And
now, before we continue, this is something I don't know if I was aware of this or not. Maybe Mary has to look at this more. That these Europeans study you, and they constantly keep you on a watchful eye to know how you behave, how you move through his manipulation of the environment. And for manipulation, he's noticed that there's some outcomes that black people have created amongst themselves for him twinkling and manipulating the environment. And one of the few things is how we still don't like each other. We don't work enough together with each other. Hell, we don't spend enough money with each other in regards to a small business or big business that we establish. And sure was how we do not have really decent relationships toward each other. So one thing what they study in regards the outcome environment, the environment is designed the way how it continues your dysfunction. And they always got to examine every year, not every couple of years, but every year. Because listen, things change every 365 days a year. Don't be fooled. To see how and what state of mind you are at as a man and woman in this country, black. And by calculation and definitive results, they make a conclusion of how they're going to tweak and manipulate this environment you're in today. And that is a straight up fact. Don't tell me these people write many books about you and don't understand, and they learn and understand and examine you better than yourself. You be fooled. You be fooled. Let's continue.
According to the president's own mission, the problems that exist in the black community were created by the white power structure, maintained by the white power structure, and enforced by the white power structure. So Cynthia G's position is totally inaccurate and has been refuted by expert testimony coming from the Kerner Commission itself. And I would also say, good sister, that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. One of the reasons Dr. King was murdered is because the Kerner Commission was released, which would have gave Dr. King all the ammunition he needed to lead his breadbasket campaign. Even the white power structure admits that the problems black men face were introduced by the white power structure.
And to go.
Now, it goes to show that, and mind you, the death of Martin Luther King was inevitable at this point. Because remember, they took out Malcolm back in 65, and they were going to make directions to really take out King a couple years down the line anyway. And why is it? Because they have noticed that with certain prominent figureheads, men especially, that they show themselves and present themselves to really bring a conscious awareness where men and women take action can be a problematic threat through these the interior and outerior of a system that they manipulate and control. They can't have that. So what they do is like anything. There's two ways you destroy any movement or what they call water down or pipe down things. One, you find the head Negro in charge, like always. And there should be more head Negro in charge, but that's not a story. And I'm only using that as a loosely term. Follow me. And the next, if they can't get them, they find other ways to really infect certain organizations. And trust me, they have used women to infect a lot of organizations. Because let's be honest, brothers, you're still controlled by the fucking sex. And a man that does not have any form of discipline is bound to lose every time. Every time. More, I see too many of them, some that's prominent, to the ones that is showing potential. They get always brought back down a nudge or two once you introduce a woman into it. And that's something that as men, we do have the control of, and we need to get control and grips of that. Let's continue. The fair use is in effect.
And to go on top of that, to bring further evidence that Dr. Umar, what he's saying is right, we can go back to 1967 in South Central LA. There was one murder. Look it up. There was one murder in South Central LA in about an 18-month period between 1967 and 1968. Why? Because there was adequate resources. UCLA was bringing black people in for free when it came down to it. When it came down to it, jobs were plentiful. When black people were adequately resourced, you didn't see black men killing each other. So when we talk about, this thing that's going on, it's not that anyone is forcing black men to kill each other. That's not what nobody's saying. There's a cause and effect relationship between everything. And we're talking about having a full cause and effect, full on viewpoint of what's going on. What's the cause? What's the effect? When you live in a violent society that murdered its way to make the country and goes around the world enforcing murder, what's going to happen in that country is similar to what's going to happen outside the country. So we got to look at that. And when we talk about black men killing each other, it's just a handful at the end of the day. When black men interact, 99.9% of the time, the interactions are positive or neutral.
Well, then.
Well, let's look at that. It is true. And let me see who wrote this. Whose pen was this, Chaos? Man, Aaron Cross, this is the lady on top, as you see with the glasses, the middle lady. This is her show on Fox. So, and trust me, Aaron, I'm not vouching, or this is the most that Fox is going to get any promotion from me personally. And you know me, bro, I don't promote a lot of content creators or any other content personally. If I do it in a regards what is something to leading to a better good or better of understanding from my perspective. But overall, covering this, and mind you, I watched this. It bothered me personally. But like I said, I gotta continue on with the tape. But like I said, this is Tamara Hall on Fox O. And just like her and Claudine Jordan, they got out. The funny thing I noticed with a lot of women they select to be join these so-called networks, they're very much well watched and very much examined, and they're very much studied by people that do the hiring, and they know who they want to pick and hire for the networks, in my opinion. And this is another testament that the people that run these things and they have the people that's hosting these things, they are fully compromised. They're so compromised to the point where at times, I don't know if I want to call them coon or where you want to call them bed bug or where you want bed bug. what it called, bedwinter, whatever you want to call it nowadays, who knows? That these are people that are the face of black people or black people around the world. Because when black people see themselves, they see themselves through America. And they see them through this network here we call Fox Soul. Because when you put the soul in, people say it's all about black folks. Wait, hold on. No, it's not. Because what type of black folks you talking about? Because people that have soul, they have their orientation straight. They have a clean bill of health, at least. And their heart and their mind is clean. And they have a certain demeanor when around others. This ain't soul. This is witchcraft, in my opinion. But I digress. Very specific.
You don't have an argument for the system because the whole system isn't doing anything to you. It's just a handful of people, right? But I wish we could get out the 90s.
And if you look at this person on the far left corner, this see the facial expression this individual is making on the left hand corner? Yeah.
1960s and jump into 2022. I feel like this is also another way for black men to gaslight because they know they have done absolutely nothing. Even if you are complaining about the system and the Kerner Commission and all of these policies, you failed to do anything about them. It is your failure to address the issue as men that have these problems going on. You can say it's only a handful of black men killing other black men, but the reality of it is you don't have the same energy when you're talking about police shootings of black men. Then you act like the entire police department, every last one in every single state, is doing something to you. But now when it comes to black men terrorizing the community, making the community unsafe, killing black men, women, and children, now you want to go to, oh, it's only a few of them. Be that as it may, the bottom line is the issues that black men are inflicting on the community are issues that we should be focusing on.
I want to get Hope in on this real quick. Hope?
No, now y'all know. If y'all want me to let this person talk without throwing into the audio, press 1 right now. I'm waiting. I know y'all watching, and stop watching. Y'all can interact in the chat room. If y'all want me to let her rock, let this thing rock. See, now you get me all confused with this nonsense. This person on left call Hope. Yeah. If you don't want me to play the sound bites on this, press 1. Either I'm going to press the sound bites. All right, no one has responded. So by default, y'all will hear this.
I mean, the fact that the lack of elevation and evolution that we see in these arguments are my biggest issue. Once again, we're back in the 1960s when we should be having, like Cynthia just said, a current conversation. Currently, black men are not being held at the fire and said that if you don't provide this, or if you don't show up in this way, we're going to do X, Y, and Z to your family. Y'all just are not showing up. And then when you're asked to be held accountable to these things, you say things like, well, back in this time, and when we tried to do this back in the couple of years ago, half of y'all weren't even around when those things were, put into action. And then when you found out about them, instead of bringing them back to the forefront to see if they would work for you in this day and age, you just talk about what didn't work on the back end of things. I think that a lot of the times you all find it a lot easier to gaslight us into thinking that we're the problem so that you can have more time to figure out what the solution is, but that's not a solution anymore. We figured out that doesn't work, and you're trying to buy time in the system is not going to help anybody, especially not the black communities that you say that you love.
Let's bring
Before we go to break, hold that thought, Dwan. Before we go to break, I do want to take up for my black brothers here. The CDC reports that black men show up to their families more than any other race in this country. Black men are taking their children to school. Black men are playing sports and doing outside extracurricular activities with their children more than white men, more than Asian Americans, more than any other ethnicity in this country. But we'll continue to talk about.
And the reason why that is either two things. Either a black man is working, mostly working a job, or not working, not working a job, and he has the time to do so, or he has his own business and he does have the available time with his children close to him. It's one or the other. And mind you, from what I'm hearing from that same studies, they said that was like a little tally studies. Because let's be honest, no man's gonna admit and say that I'm not involved father. Who man's gonna say that? Which man's gonna really say that? Let's get real. Yes, Aaron Collins, I'm playing Transform because I do not want to hear from the take and views of this individual personally. And as you know, if you notice, Aaron, that person you see on the far left upper corner is a actual a trans what do you call it? A transgender person, a transformer. So let's keep going. Fair use.
About the war being waged against Black men. Welcome back to Business of Being Black with Tammy Mack. I am Tammy Mack, and the business of being Black today are Black men. Is there a war being waged against Black men? First of all, I want to see where you all stand just by a yes or no. Dr. Umar, is there? Yes or no?
Absolutely, yes.
Hope, is there?
No.
Duan?
Absolutely, yes.
Cynthia G, where are you on this?
The only war is the war that Black men are waging against the Black community.
So is that a yes or no?
Yes, there is.
Duan, if there is a war waging against Black men, do Black men have allies?
No. The only allies we have is our other, well, I would say we don't have any outside allies as far as any other races, no. The only allies we have are Black women who are on code with Black men.
Because I was about to be real mad. I was about to be real.
And personally, the war, you don't have friends. It's all you got. And most Black men should depend and more support and need other Black men. Personally, in this uncertain climate we're in, personally. Yes, Black women are always going to be around, unfortunately. Yes. And they should be involved because, you know, that one half and that half makes a whole. But really, more brothers should be more involved and better being more of their brother's keeper, in my opinion. Let's keep going.
I'm about to go ham.
No. Because it's a lot of Black women who are on code. I know I'm married to one. You know, I've been with the same woman for 20 years. So I can preach, I can walk what I preach when it comes down to this. We do have allies, and the allies, the ally is the Black man, woman, and child. With this whole fight between Black men and Black women, it's like the women forgot about the kids. It's like it's this whole war going on, and it's like the kids be damned. You have people like Dr.
You jumped on me there, Dewan. You jumped on me. I don't even know how we got to the kids.
No, because we're all one. Black man, woman, and child.
Are you talking about the kids that Black men abandon and publicly talk about how they don't want those children?
I can't speak for your life, but all I know is my father's always been there for me. My wife's father's always been there for her. I'm there for my wife. My grandparents were there. I have married lineage. I can go back 400 years of marriages, so I don't know.
Be that as it may, it's very well documented.
Now, mind you, it's gonna be a long one, guys. There's a person that's talking about these men abandoning their children, and you, Miss Cynthia G, chose to get, had a child by a man that already is occupied with children. See, brokenness breeds and brews other brokenness, from what I'm noticing with a lot of few females like her, anybody else that talks us. Now, is the whole collective of men not really, I guess, what do you call it, having bastard children and, how can I say, just moving on? Yeah, there are some. Right now, is it the majority? For the data and all stuff, I can't quantify it because where Black people reside, there's only a few cities we reside across America. And really, the more biggest question we should ask is where majority of Black people reside the most. And then we could look by comparison for our own analysis. And maybe it's going to come to the point we're going to create our own data to really get the real numbers now, because let's be honest, when you read numbers from the so-called devil or the white man y'all want to talk about, is he really giving you the actual numbers, or he's giving you what you want to see? Because you don't have the organization or the institutions to really combat and really do your own number crunch. You're not even doing out there the field research yourself. And anytime somebody is presenting something to you about reality and you're not in control of that information, you are definitely a slave to everything, personally. So like I said, DeWar, he don't have these problems. Maybe Dr. Umar, I don't know if I could say about him, you know. But there are some married men that is somewhat involved with their children, you know, if you're married. Now, if you're just shacking up and having, you know, playing house, boyfriend, girlfriend, without nothing contractually, most likely you do put yourself at risk as a woman. And a lot of feminine coaches will tell you this, ladies. Don't be listening to all these women that have bigger faults. A lot of them aren't married in their own lives. Hell, some of their lives not even together to be giving advice about relationships. And I'd agree with my good friend Mary Brown about this, that some of these content creators, they're not even got any stable lives, much as relationships in their own lives. But they're giving advice of what you should do. It's just laughable. I wish I had sound, but I don't. Let's continue. Fair use.
I was talking. When it comes down to it, there are some men that leave. And when we're going to talk about the men that leave, let's talk about a lot of men that leave because of how they were pushed out by people who were going around trying to get government benefits. Let's talk about that. If he's not there, let's talk about all these single family households.
Now, you know, it's funny about these benefits. I'm not sure what the average cost of benefit by doing it by yourself now, but probably 30, 40 years ago, it might have some benefits if you qualify for it. But today, I mean, it was that easy, then really, truly, it's proven evident that the government, with the laws of pushback on Roe v. Wade, is they're telling you they want babies. And they're not getting the babies from certain racial demographics. They know obviously they're going to get babies from black people, black women especially, rather from a black man or a non-black man. That's evident. That's automatic guarantee. That's easy money. But for in their own groups, it's not so easy as it seems to be. So, yeah. Let's continue this. And always fair use.
That are there because somebody wanted a baby so they can get a check one day and didn't give a damn about who she had that baby with. 80% of the women having the sex with the same 20% of men. If you keep in that same loophole, you got to look in the mirror.
Well, period. I don't know, DeJuan. I mean, your points are well taken. I'm just confused on how we go from a war against black men to women having babies by different men. It's not adding up here. Dr. Umar, help me make the math. Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a couple things. Number one, we have to make sure that we conduct a systems analysis and an institutional assessment. Communities are made up of institutions or the lack thereof. Communities are governed by systems or the lack thereof. Let
me check. Make sure how we doing likes. All right. As y'all come in, please hit the like button, please. Thank y'all. Thank you. Fair use.
Let's be very clear about something. This fratricide, this black on black crime that so many of our brothers are engaging in, let us remember, Irish did the same thing. Italians did the same thing. European Jews did the same thing. And in the 1930s and 1940s, the United States government decided to upgrade them to white status, and in so doing, gave the Italians control of the fire departments in the black community, gave the Irish control of the police departments in the black community, and gave the European Jewish immigrants control of the civil service municipal jobs that they still control in many city centers today. The point that I'm making, Tammy, is that America gave Southern European immigrants an economic stimulus package. Before they gave that economic stimulus package to Jews, Irish, and Italians, they were doing the exact same thing black men are doing today, selling drugs, breaking the law, running in gangs, killing one another. But the government intervened and aided them. The reason black male pathology is still going on 30, 40, 50 years later is there has been no resolution, there have been no solutions, and there have been no governmental intervention. With that being said, I'm not waiting on the government to solve the problems of black men. We as black men have to unite, come together, organize, and solve our own problems. Just because we can admit that the government
Have you noticed this? The one on the far upper left near Omar, the one that why is this person shaking his head up and down and stuff? I can see why Tamara Hart only focuses on the camera on a person talking, because when the camera's not on the focus on one person, you can see a lot of emotions from the crowd, from the whole panel. Some people agreeing, some people disagreeing. Always keep an eye on the emotions and how people behave, how they look personally, you know. Yeah, I think y'all need to start doing that. Cause I'm starting to notice it now, and I rarely leave it alone, but let's look at it more. Let's continue. Fair use and effect.
Introduce pathology into the black community, we can still take full responsibility for ending it ourselves.
Hope, I see you nodding.
Yes, because I feel like when you can name all of these things so eloquently and so beautifully, and yet y'all still fail at being able to do these things after years and years and years and years and years of trying, where do we find a new solution? Because if you can't talk to each other.
Oh, I apologize. We have somebody speaking. I must give it its rightful introduction.
If the old men are scared of these new boys because they're a lot wilder than y'all were, because they're a lot more buck than y'all were, what ends up happening is I see that a lot of y'all see these young boys, instead of addressing them, y'all are afraid of them, and so you walk away and say, well, that's their generation's problem. And it can't just be that generation's problem. Like Sin has been continuously saying, if I have to just answer the question with a yes or no, my answer is no, because the war that we're fighting for black men is the one that black men are fighting within themselves. Is it about adjacency to whiteness? Is it about being able to assimilate to that white hand, or is it really about the freedom of black men and the black family and the black community?
I like that question a lot, Hope. I want to hang on to that question. Dewan, if there is a war against black men, what exactly is the war?
The war is to disenfranchise black men economically.
Now, like I said before, yes, as though real Eric, you get the point why I do that. You understand now, brother? Now, I find it ironic. I'm not sure Dr. Omar was aware that he was going to be on a panel with 3 women. And really, truly, it's actually 2 women. The other person on the panel is a man. Like the men on the bottom. So it's really actually 3 men actually on the panel and 2 women. But like I said, there's certain laws and things to put into place for the society, for people to, if they choose to accept that you must refer to this he, she as, you know, a she. But like always, this is where we live in today. Oh, you get it. You understand now, right? Thank you. And trust me, if you want me to play, you can always press 1 and say, don't play the soundbite, and I'll let it rock if you choose to. You know, I try to limit it because, you know, there's certain ways I'll let the voice take up on this person, but overall, I want people to understand when I play this, you are listening, watching a transformer right before your eyes. All right, let's continue with tape, and like always, fair use and effect. And this is like, how long? We still got like another 40 minutes in this.
Economically, because when you destabilize us economically, everything else is going to fall. We can take this back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which Maslow didn't come up with, but that's who gets credit for it. When you take away food, clothing, and shelter, everything on top is going to crumble. That's just human science. And what I'm hearing right now are people that are saying, ignore the science, ignore what's been proven for thousands of years, and let's just focus on these black men. I don't care that everyone else has done it when they were in the same economic situation. I don't care the fact that black men don't do this when they're sort of stable. Let's ignore all of that stuff and let's just go back to what black men need to be doing. When you take away the bottom need of the pyramid, everything else is going to crumble. And with that being done, it's still only a few of us crumbling. It's a whole lot of us winning too.
I agree with that. I want to go ahead, Hope.
I was going to say, but it's at the expense of the black families that y'all claim to care so much about. I think that what we fail to realize is that when the black men who do have that platform that are not doing those things get on, the last thing that they're thinking about is the black adjacency to their family. They want to assimilate to whatever whiteness, whatever white male privilege they can get. And that's a large part of the problem.
Have you ever noticed people that are not comfortable with their own gender are talking about families, but behind closed doors, the system we live in today does not really advocate or promote families, much as give incentives now in regards to growth and building families in regards to marriage. Have y'all noticed this? But it sure will give rights and privilege and protection if you decide to call yourself and operate outside your true intentional nature. Have you ever noticed that? So I always ask, what family do you want? The Transformer. What family do you seek? Because last time I checked, BLM in their own documents said that they're excluding the black man. And they're talking about Black Lives Matter. But without a black man, how are you going to have black people? Unless you are going to go through the process of pathogenesis or orphogenesis, whatever you want to call this, where you're able to have an immaculate conception or have God fuck you and breed you and give forth life. Again, the way how you're going to come in this earth plane, you're going to have intercourse with the opposite sex. Besides all this extra new gizmo of artificial insemination, or creating wombs, which they're doing now, and they're not going to market yet until the time is needed, that you still have to go through that process, that creation process. I'm just saying, I'm just keeping it real. And like I said, tonight, people, this is not going to be a nice stream. I'm going to keep it real, personally. I can't hold my tongue on this. Because rather Dr. Omar, and mind, this is Dr. Omar versus Cynthia G. What the F, for those who don't know the title of the stream. They had their first interactions. So let's keep going. Fair use and effect.
We see this happen when we look at social media, and we're seeing black men publicly proclaim the idea of loving on everything but a black woman, wanting to have children because their eyes and their hair are going to be looser and more exotic looking. You do not see that as much in the influx of black women as you do in black men. So when y'all do get on, then it should be the responsibility of y'all, if y'all really care about this upholding of the black family, to then come back to the black communities that you come from and create those black families. And show
Dr. Umar, you welcomed us to the show by saying Black Power. Black Power, okay. Is there some truth to the assimilation that black men want or perceive to want when it comes to this war being waged against you?
Well, there's definitely some truth to it, but I think that truth is also evident in black women. Black men, many of them may choose to want a white woman, but many black women choose to look like white women. So we have to look at ourselves, and we have to recognize that the pathology is not more of one gender than the other. That's the issue I have with conversations that seek to see who is more at fault, the black man or the black woman. It's not about who's more at fault. We rise together or we will perish together. The black man cannot survive without his woman, and the black woman cannot survive without her man. The issue that I take with my two narrative is I hear a lot of criticism. I hear a lot of condemnation, but I don't hear any empowerment. I don't hear any solutions coming from either one of them. It appears as if that there is a
Dr. Umar Johnson actually is two women, Tamara Hall and Cynthia G, actually. But you're not aware of this. Yeah, I know. All right, let's continue.
Hatred towards black men by those sisters. Even when they said, why are we going back to 1960? Let's stay in 2022. That is so immature and irresponsible of a statement. As a psychologist, when a client comes into my office, the first thing I perform is a history on their depression, a history on their suicide, a history on their anxiety. When you go see the medical doctor, he performs a history. When you go buy a home, they perform a history. When you go purchase an automobile, they perform a history on that automobile. But when we talk about the problems that affect black males, we're supposed to look at it in a vacuum. We're not supposed to put it in a historical context. And with that being said,
well, at least I give the credit to the one that on that far upper left near Dr. Omar. You know, this person is agreeing. So all is not lost, unfortunately, brothers and sisters. Yeah, you have to go back to really the source, and historical has to be. See, one thing I always thought and believed that you could escape and leave the history out of things and deal with the present, but how people able to make 10 steps ahead of you, they do that by understanding the playing field. They understand the history, what they do with their opponents. They study them well. That's history. And they know how to move and operate accordingly. I'm not sure why black people still think that we deal with the present and negate all the things that led to this point. Now, everybody said we should not be getting caught up in history and we should move forward. No, you're not going to move forward anywhere, anytime soon. And I'll tell you even definite fact. If everything was left in the past, why are you scrubbing the information on certain books? Why are you not promoting and teaching and keeping certain things historical has happened to people that is non-white in this country? Why are you just shoving it and scrubbing it under the rug if it does not matter? I'll tell you why, because it keeps the game going. It keeps you on this goddamn hamster wheel that you're on. And as long as you keep moving in circles, that's when they got you. Let's continue. And like always, fair use and effect.
The language and the narrative that's coming out of the mouth of these two beautiful black women is one that I think the white power structure would endorse because it totally absolves them of any responsibility for the hell black men catch in this country.
Cynthia G, you did say, why are we going all the way back to 1960? There is some truth to history when it comes to evaluating anything or anyone. So what do you say to that? Hold that thought, because I only got about 30 seconds here, so I don't want you to get into it, because I know you're going to get into it good, sis, and then have to come right back out of it. You understand? So just make sure you understand the question at hand, which is about a person's history, in this particular case, black men's history in America, and why it doesn't matter when it comes to the war being waged against them. We'll talk about. Welcome back to Business of Being.
You know, it's funny. Tamara Hall or Tamara Mack. Matter of fact, I'm gonna let it run. I ain't gonna say anything about this. Fair use, guys. Fair use.
Black with Tammy Mack. I am Tammy Mack, and the business of being black today is black men. Is there a war being waged against them? We left off with Dr. Umar talking about how history matters when it comes to the contextual matters of black men having wars waged against them, a war waged against them. So, Cynthia G, what do you say to historical context?
I say we should go to the historical context, because what I have not heard from Dr. Umar Johnson, or I think his name is.
I said her name wrong, so I apologize to the one woman that's right in the chat room. Yeah, it is a slip up. I get her name right, eventually. But let's continue. Fair use, fair use.
Dwayne is what I have not heard.
Hey, at least if you can get the man's name right. So, like I said, we all in the same boat. It gets a little comfortable when we get comfortable when we saying people's names. I think, like always, people have different names and we have to be able to recite it a couple times. You feel me?
as they're mentioning all of the things that was done to them, I haven't heard what you did in response to it. So I would like to know, what did you do in response in history other than go to the Supreme Court and petition to have access to the men's women that you're complaining and accusing of disenfranchising you? See, because in the 1960s, what Black men were really doing, and it's been documented, many civil rights leaders have admitted to it, what Black men were doing is chasing the white man's woman, trying to so-called stick it to him by way of going to their women. What you should have been doing is trying to get liberation for yourself. What you should have been trying to do is get that foot off your neck. But see, the foot is not on your neck. And the only time you recognize it being on your neck is when you want to get away with doing something that you think white men are getting away with doing. Because let's just be real. Whenever we hear about this war against Black men, it's usually being brought up when there's a Black man like R. Kelly, Bill Cosby. We see Trey Songz going.
I'm not sure if those are good examples personally. Those are celebrities, but we know in this Western world, this culture we're in today, we live vicariously through celebrities. That's very dangerous. Let me explain why. Because celebrities are no more or any great position than you are. The only difference is they got a lot of money, which they got to spend not only on themselves, but give back to the so-called, what they like call white power structure. The money is not always will stay amongst your group, your communities. How we know? How fast do you think the United States dollar leaves the communities that Black people resides, or neighborhoods, I'm going to call it? It goes in one hand, you get paid Thursday or Friday or whatever, and by the end of the weekend, or probably as the weekend begins, that money goes back to somebody else. Money does not bounce a lot in the community. So imagine a person that got a whole lot of money. Where do you think they're going to take the money? Hit the like button, people, and share this. I know this has been talked about lately, and this is something that now has to be looked at personally. Anyway, let's continue. Fair use and effect.
Through it airy spheres when they engage in some degeneracy, and then they're getting a consequence for it. And Black men think that because they perceive white men to be getting away with crimes, they want to be able to get away with crimes as well. The reality is, Dr. Umar can sit up here and list all the different ways that the system is disenfranchising Black men and Black men in a victim boat. But the reality is, what he cannot tell you is what Black men did in response to it, because they did nothing. They laid down and they nested under the skirt of their non-Black preferences, and only to complain that whenever they commit a crime, they're not getting off like they think.
So let's find out, Dr.
Before Dr. Omar gives his uncanny response, and I'd agree with the old man. When you listen to any woman that brings this rhetoric to you, you're going to have to start questioning the individual that's, giving these certain statements now. Credibility, And I don't want to say this, but like the old man said, yeah, it needs to be now. You have to start criticizing and questioning the people that's asking these questions. But, let's hear the great Dr. Omar's response. Fair use and effect.
Umar, what have Black men done?
Well, number one, again, I think that it is such a shame coming from a psychological perspective that we seek to heal our wounds as a people by relying on unprofessional testimony by individuals who have a vendetta against the opposite gender in their community. When you hear Sister Cynthia speak, you can hear a hurt and a pain and a hatred towards Black men. We cannot find an effective solution to Black male-female relationship issues or the oppression of Black men or Black women.
Because there's no solutions. There's only trade-offs, a good Dr. Omar. Since when you see anything right now in the modern era, Black people carry out of a solution. And it has failed and tried again, effectively. I wait. You are talking, deal with hurt people that's here to get a Google check. Nothing more, nothing less. And nothing wrong with Google, if depending on how Google is paying you, if you get this monetization nonsense, right? But they will forsake and put the whole community under the bus for that check. That's the name of the game, Dr. Umar Johnson. Let's continue. Fair use in effect. Fair use in effect.
When the people at the table having the conversation have negative emotional and pathological interest in the conversation that are not.
Umar, the question wasn't about my emotional state. The question was, what did Black men do in response to their disenfranchisement?
Now, you see, I tell you, she constantly will do this to you. And mind you, she'll do this in front of a crowd or a panel of women. She will not take her black ass in other spaces with this bullshit. Everybody let the woman talk. When the man's supposed to goddamn talk, you shut the fuck up. Let him get what he has to say, and then we keep pushing. And I think that's something that we need to work and do better as people. We don't have good conversations. When people speak, we quiet, let them talk. We don't interrupt and all this stuff. And that's something that we could do better and control. Now, when you watch this for the first time, or you've seen this, you will notice no man has interrupted none of the ladies. Well, I'm sorry, two ladies, and the one on the far left upper right corner of Dr. Umar Johnson interrupt them. I want you to keep that in mind. But as when the men are talking, they constantly get interrupted. Have y'all noticed that? Food for thought, just food for thought. Let's keep going. And like always, the fair use, see right here, full effect.
Yeah, because you're trying to pathologize my emotional state, not knowing that I'm a psychologist too. But what you're not doing is telling us what Black men.
Now she's sitting there, keep posing that she is a psychologist. Has anybody ever questioned what school or credentials she got her psych degree? And she got, do you got a doctorate in psychology? Last time I checked. Are you really certified, like seriously certified? That someone could look up? Now, I've talked to a few people that is in the field of psychology. As you know, I had the man and the woman, two of them, especially I've done content with in depth on my stream. I have done content with these people. And I asked, not only behind closed doors, but also in the streams that I've done, that does this woman up here in the right corner, Miss Cynthia G, got an actual degree or of any significance to really put out the doctrine she's doing? And the answer to the question I got was no. So why is it that a person that don't got any qualification, and probably might have read some psych books, which is always a good thing if you're an avid reader, to have certain things in your library. One, a good DSM-4 manual. If you can get the actual manual, it's a thick books like this big. You should have that in your household for reference, for clinical psychological evaluations. You should have that in your household. Not just to be a psychologist, but to have a good, well understanding of the terms and things that, is out here that you come across if you are going to seek a therapist or a psychologist in the field. I'm the same. But you hear one person that's not really certified like that debate a person that has a doctorate degree in psychiatry and therapy and dealing with children and all that stuff. And one note I would like to add for those that will listen to me or listen to this playback. Dr. Johnson, it's been now 10 years since he got his doctorate in the clinical field of psychiatry. It's been a decade now. He got it in 2012. Now, anybody want some fact or proof? You're going to have to comment on my comment section, or better yet, if you do catch it, ask with my email, and I will send you the actual show, which I listened to, and follow for the last couple years before dealing with YouTube. I watched and followed Omar for a good long time. And mind you, only black men get flack about their credentials. I remember one time they were trying to investigate, maybe sue him or whatever, tell him that he's not a real clinical psychiatrist in the field of psychology. And he went to court and he did win. And that was like a few years ago. So it seemed to me as a black man today in the 21st century, you're damn if you do or you're damn if you're not. And I can see why black men today are either doing two things, either ignoring people, leaving people alone, or they're going somewhere else. It's one or the other. But let's continue. And like always, fair use and effect.
I believe he'll get there, Dr. Umar.
May I finish?
Dr. Umar.
And I'll end it quickly, Sister Tammy. According to Mrs. Cynthia G, Dr. King was assassinated because he was doing nothing. Malcolm X was assassinated because he was doing nothing. Medgar Evers was assassinated because he was doing nothing. Fred Hampton.
Now I heard that Medgar Evers got shot in the back in the 60s. Sorry.
Was assassinated because he was doing nothing. That narrative that black men have done nothing to fight back against systemic oppression, not only against ourselves, but against our women, our children, our elders, and our community is absolutely ridiculous. The cemetery is filled with black men, names we know and names we don't know, who gave their life for the freedom, liberation, and emancipation of African people. How can you disrespect the history of so many black men, past and present, who continue to fight? I'm sitting in a school right now that we built with all black money, 4 buildings that we're going to educate black men in. It's not easy to solve our problems because there's always black people in your very same community who's fighting against what you're trying to do to help it. But in addition to that, the white power structure is always waving its wand of oppression to try to sabotage anything we do. I think that the analysis of our women is too overly simplistic, and in being such, it is dishonest.
But they've done so much. You've only listed names and not accomplishments, though.
I can list some accomplishments.
Yeah. Hold on. You know, let me pin this. You know, it's funny you mentioned that. I think with a lot of black people, like Omar or any person that's trying to find alternate ways to fund certain projects, it can be frustrating. I get it. I understand. I firsthand seen very few people that trying to get some things off the ground don't get the support. They will go back and, say some things about the community. And rightfully so, because personally, we don't support enough of each other, unfortunately. And because there's certain simple projects, it don't require much money. But if it requires this amount of money just to get it started, it's better that we all batch in. Because let's be honest, certain organization banks are not going to really support anything that's in regards that's going to be competing against other establishments, unfortunately. And that's what it is. Yeah, I really like Dr. Umar. Yeah, that's right, Mary. Let's keep going. Fair use and effect.
Okay, when it comes down to it, what have black men done since the 60s? We've turned around and we've gotten... We're still inventing things. We still open up businesses. Here in LA, you got black businesses all around town. It's just that when we open these businesses up, you have a city that these black businesses suddenly catch on fire. You have issues when it comes down to what's going on right now with one of my cousins and these abatement laws, who's built plenty of properties here in LA, managing it. But because there was some gang activity down the street, a nuisance abatement is about to get all of his properties taken. So when black men do build things, and we build things on individual basis, you're not going to see an NBC special about what the great black man built. When Irv Gotti, Suge Knight, and J. Prince tried to put together a distribution, they all got charges the next week. So it's not like we don't build things. When we do build things, something always ends up seeming to happening. And in spite of that, you've seen the most black business male ownership that's gone up in the last.
All right, his name that's talking. The real Aaron Collins. Let me post your comment. Is Dwayne Brown. DWANN Brown. I think I pronounced his name right. Dewan, I think. And let me read a comment here by the great liberator himself, a Mary Brown Show. Talking that shit, Dr. King has an entire national holiday in his honor. What the hell is Cynthia G talking about? Yeah. All right, next one. What has Cynthia accomplished besides having an ironclad bang? All right, let me wait, hold on. Let's wait. Read. I'm tired of these toxic motherfucking men. And one person, right? She accomplished capturing attention. WO showing TA tits and ass, I think. And let's keep going, guys. I'll be here all night.
60 years since the coronavirus, we still doing it. I personally got 3 businesses, so I don't know what you're talking about. I employ young black men. I've helped thousands of black children here in South Central LA. So all this black men ain't doing nothing. Where are you kicking it at?
Boom. Yeah. I need more water for this. Yeah, where are you kicking at, ladies? You know, I think one of weakness we have is we not capitalizing the location we're at. Because when I always hear that what other people are doing besides what I'm should be doing and hopefully to get something done, is that I can't keep an eye on what other men are doing. If they're doing something positive and good for the community, all kudos to them. But really, truly, I mean it in good faith, that that men are going to do what is necessary. And then, because let's be honest, if you're not getting employment, you're going to have to make some of your own and make some employment for yourself. It's one of the two things. And let's be honest, in America, let's keep it real, as black men, there are 2 things that's going to happen to us. Either we going to be in jail, or actually be imprisonment, or death. So you think most black men today and mass number are going to take either or? And trust me, a lot of black men don't like jail. Let's keep it real. And we don't want to be 6 feet under either. So we're going to take the route where it need to be more of or less resistance. And, you know, either build something of our own, most likely. And that's going to take work. And most black men today either have a choice or not, they're going to do it anyway. Let's look at the competition here. Since I live in LA, I have to go find him. Yes, if you can't, the real Aaron Collins, I think he has either a channel or an email or wherever he is. It's hard for me to read it on here. But let's keep going. You should really search from the real Aaron Collins. You and him could probably meet up and do make things happen. Fair use and effect.
So how are you? So how are black men creating all these businesses and still costing the government $50 billion a year?
Hold that
Here's
thought.
the
I want
one
to get,
thing that is
I want to
being
get Hope in
ignored.
here real quick, Dr. Umar. I want to get Hope in here because Dr. Umar listed a plethora of black men that we know, and I'm assuming he listed the ones that we know so that we can identify and all agree that these black men have done something in terms of the fight for equality in America. How do you feel about those men that he listed, Hope? Have they done anything for the black community or no?
Most definitely. I would be ignorant to say that they haven't, right? But I think that what we're failing to realize is that when we have this conversation about what black men have done, the consequences are usually because of white supremacy and the gaze of white folks on us are that the black men are then taken away and the black women have to then sustain those things. To say that black women are unappreciative.
You know, this person say gaze. Y'all caught that? Hope y'all caught that. Let's keep going.
Of that, it would be I think that is the dishonesty, right? The way that Black women show up for the Black community and the Black families, regardless of how we feel about the Black men that we might be interacting with or the Black men that are doing bad things, while still staying here to cultivate the Black men who are, is, I mean, to overlook that to me is just dishonest. The idea that y'all, a lot of you all were raised by grandma them and auntie them and all of these amazing Black women that are in community and share space with you and share space with your children, that's being left over. But also, this isn't, Dr. Umar, you're right. I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that you said, but you're absolutely right. It's not about the idea of who's doing it better or trying to, the pissing match of the oppression Olympics amongst Black people, but it's really about working together. The problem is, what I find in working together is that the Black man wants to lead where he's acquired the gumption and the knowledge to be able to do so appropriately and effectively or not. The thing about it is, when you're working together, we are a team. You get to lead this portion because you're better at it. I get to lead that portion because I'm better at it. And then we come to a common ground for both of us to succeed. But a lot of the times when we're talking about these succession plans and we're making all of these advocacy movements in order to progress the Black family, the Black man says, listen to me or fail. Right? As if Black women have nothing to contribute to that. And I think that that's where the problem is. That's where the discourse needs to happen, is how do we...
But you're not a woman. You're actually this. So it's kind of disingenuous you're referring to a woman. You're not really a woman, unfortunately. And I have to keep it real and honest. And like I said, if anyone y'all will refer to this person as, a woman, that's up to you. It's your decision. I mean, only thing I notice after understanding and knowing a little background, the only thing that comes to mind is this. But this is where we live in today, unfortunately. Fair use and effect.
Work together so that Black men understand that we are meant to work side by side and not with me following you with my head down and saying, yes, that's our master. Because that is me being subservient to you in a way that I might not want to do, especially considering if you do not have the credentials, the know-how, the wherewithal, or the lived experiences to lead me in a way that I might be better suited to do in this point of our journey. And
Dr. Umar.
Well, first of all, I do not endorse any kind of a second-class citizenship role for Black women. I believe Black women have as much to offer as do Black men. So I'm not sure who the Queen is referring to, because I am not a misogynist and I do not support.
Now, like I said, Omar, I don't think Omar was. I don't think Omar was very aware, personally, in my opinion. I'm not sure how in advance they're aware of when they're supposed to do these broadcasts, and I notify them that you're going to be asked to request to join this panel. I don't think people ask these questions, in my opinion. But like I said, I could be wrong. But anyway, let's continue. Fair use and effect.
Support that type of narrative that said the Black woman's position is only to have children and to prepare food. But at the same time, I think Black women have to look at themselves, because although white supremacy has been the greatest enemy of the progress of Black men, you would also have to argue that Black women have probably been the greatest accomplice to supporting the white power structure in their destruction of Black males, i.e. the conversation we're having right now, where two intelligent Black women have yet to indict white supremacy for the role that they play in the destabilization of the lives of Black men.
So when we come back, we'll find out if the two beautiful sisters who are on the panel will indict. Star Brothers. Well, please welcome Miss Hope Chiselle, Doctor of Clinical Psychology, Dr. Umar Johnson, radio personality and family advocate, Dewan Brown, influencer and YouTuber, Cynthia G. Well, thank you all for this conversation. Do Black men in America face more obstacles than Black men in other countries? We're going to talk about that. But first, I want to know, is white supremacy responsible for any of the Black man's plight at all?
Okay, that's a good question. Let's see what the answer they'll give here. Let me look. Make sure guys keep hitting the likes. It's good for the so-called rhythm. All right, let's see the answer.
Hope.
Most definitely. Like let's not play coy here. We understand the role that white supremacy has played. But I think that over time, as we learn the tricks of white supremacy, right, we learn to do better to defeat it. And I find that especially as Black men, a lot of the time when we're talking about this war on Black men, we fail to
did you say Black men? You mean you refer yourself as a man now? You know, it's funny, I get confused personally. I'm not sure if you guys getting confused, but I'm getting confused. One minute you say you're this, now one minute you say that. I mean, it's a weird world we live in. Personally, I can't deal with the bunch of labels. Yeah, you see it? Wow, you catch that? Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. All right, fair use and effect.
Black women are underneath the same scrutinies. Maybe not in the same way and maybe not for the same reasons, but y'all are not going through this alone. And so when you talk about the ways in which Black women have learned to take, you know, what we're given and turn it into glitter and throw it up and make Black girl magic, we wonder why those things are not happening for Black men in the same way. And it's largely because I think that complacency happens. A lot of Black men, not all, are complacent with the idea of being saved by everyone other than themselves. They're okay with the idea of being saved by Black women, white women, women of all other races. They're okay with the idea of being saved by white men who give them the opportunity to come and be a part of this thing that's better than what they are. But what they're not.
Oh, you didn't pick it up? Oh, well, you pick it up now. And like I said, I did not know this until a particular content creator showed what this character really was. And Laura, we live in a very much dangerous times. If you're a woman, you might be all right. But if you're a heterosexual man, you better be very cautious now. Very cautious. And a lot of people say that you could tell. And I say, yeah, you could possibly tell. But once they start introducing cheaper methods of surgery, it becomes very difficult in the long haul. From what I'm noticing. But anyway, where am I? Let's continue the tape. Fair use and effect.
Doing is being complacent in the idea of finding their own solutions to digging their way out of the hole, and having one or two people that are speaking on it with the idea of inclusion or exclusion of certain people within the Black community is also a problem. We cannot build as a Black community if we to throw out this group of people or throw out that group of people or tell these people that their opinions are invalid even though they're Black because they're mixed race or because they're queer or because of all these other, you know, incidences. And I think that those are the things that we have to focus on. The goalposts can't constantly be moved in this conversation whenever Black women start to make a point for the sake of Black men feeling like they need to be able to dismantle that in order to talk about how they've been hurt. We get that. We have to.
Cynthia G, white supremacy, does it exist in your world? And has it affected Black men?
Absolutely, it exists. And
Okay. She admit it exists. Okay.
Black men have worked in tandem with white supremacy since they've become in contact with it. And this is why I say in the Black community, we have very disingenuous, very dishonest discussions, especially when it's regarding Black men, because we do have a Black male worshiping culture. So
now she's going to go in and say that Black women worships Black men. You know, one thing, people should ask this question. Okay, you say that Black women in general as a whole, predominantly in America. We can't speak outside America because we live in America. We born, bred, we operate in America. All right, let's go that rabbit hole. Let's take the rabbit hole. Are you telling me as a man that you have a worshiping culture to the men that you are sexually attracted to that you want to fucking suck? Or you have a worshiping culture to all men, including the ugly so-called men? The short man, the broke man. Can somebody quantify this worship that I'm noticing circulating? That's a question every man should really sit there, point the finger, and ask these deep questions. Cause I know if you were any of those three, no woman's gonna fucking, last time I checked, worship you. And that means they're gonna get on their knees and kiss the very feet and dirt of your feet in worship, including giving you head, possibly, without no questions. Is this the worship you talking about? Loving the dirty draws of the men that you are sexually attracted to? Because if you notice with Cynthia G, and I'm gonna tell you a little thing about her. If you pay attention to her streams, she's always constantly talking about sex and how she wants to be dicked down by Superman Dingo. But you're talking about advocating natural selection, all this nonsense. It's really a joke at this point. Anyway, let's keep going. Fair use and effect.
What we do within that culture, and Umar Johnson is showing it today, is absolve Black men from any accountability for what they've done. Number one, we wouldn't be in a system of white supremacy had it not been for Black men. So if you want to go all the way back to history, then let's go back to history when Black men were selling their own people into white supremacy. Let's go back into history when 16 years off the plantation, Black men were worried about a war being waged on them. They were worried about getting access to white women. That's what you were worried about. And it's interesting. There's a reason why I feel like Umar focused mostly on me and Hope's attitude.
Now, if anybody understand war, the price of, and you see, I had to come to grips with understanding this. I had to use logic and common sense. That anytime a man has won a war, the prize at the end of it is the booty. But see, when women conceptualize warfare, they don't really look at it as because, unfortunately, they're not men. It is what it is. If men fight, kill, normally they fight for territory and sex. That's the nature of how things work. Let's keep going. Various in effect.
And it's because he can't accurately answer the question. He mentioned names, not accomplishments. And the reason being is because
I think he mentioned those names specifically because the accomplishments of those people don't have to be explained.
Right, but those accomplishments are also accomplishments that I've heard Umar Johnson speak negatively about, specifically the civil rights movement and how damaging it was to Black people. But now he wants to sit here and say the very people who accomplished that were accomplishing something beneficial when, in his own opinion, that wasn't beneficial and did more harm to the community than good. So I think that because we're having such dishonest discussion where Black men don't want to take accountability for what they've done, they want to be the victims of society, but then they want submission from the women. The bottom line is I'm not willing to deflect from the fact that, number one, Black men are the greatest non-white contributors to white supremacy. Let's just be real. White supremacy couldn't even exist without Black men's compliance. They're always uplifting whiteness, biracial children, and trying to assimilate. And that's why I went back to the notion of the only time Black men truly feel like there's a war against them is when they feel like they're being punished for something white men do. At the end of the day, y'all dropped the ball. You're blaming white supremacy on your failures. We already know there's oppression, but Black women are double oppressed. We have more barriers to face. You have male privilege in a patriarchal system.
Now, I'm going to pause again. What male privilege men have today? Last month, I don't think they said that Black people was 3/5 of human. So what privilege does a Black man have in this country? Besides, he tried to get it out get it from his bootstraps, which he's going to have to eventually do anyway, because there's no one saving Black men. And hold on. And saying this, that you, from your rhetoric, it seemed to me that you're more oppressed than the man. And last time I checked, system that's running control still by men, don't waste the time focus on really dominating women that they already got access to, last my check, that willing to really suck the dick and become concubines, last my check. So what she said right there is that she gonna have to really think further about that one, about a patriarch society that men glorify and they don't have to deal with anything in the patriarch. There's always responsibility in a patriarch society that's really structured for a certain group of men. Everybody else, they get the punishment because they're not this group of men. And another thing she always keep exemplifying is this, that men are focused on white women. I want you guys to think and really think this through. The white woman is no special than any other woman on this earth. The reason why people focus on white women is because a lot of us, from our upbringings into our adulthood, all we see is white people. We got our teachers from white women. I don't give a fuck what anybody say that they got homeschool. You still been taught in some presence of white women. So they infect you psychologically to make them feel that they are the ones that is the prize. But let me keep going because I don't want to go on no long rant. Fair use.
You can't even get it right.
Well, Dr. Umar, I think Dr. Umar, I think we all know your stance on interracial marriages.
Absolutely, but let me also
so
say
please
this.
acknowledge what the rest of what Cynthia G has said.
Absolutely. I'm not sure where Sister Cynthia took history class, but if you know anything about the transatlantic slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade was a European enterprise. It was
I'm
not
talking
an
about the
African
sub-Saharan.
enterprise.
I'm talking about the sub-Saharan slave trade. You should go look into it.
Excuse me.
You address me,
May I
Umar.
finish?
Go look into the sub.
Now you see, this is trigger. She's getting triggered now. Let the man talk. Shut the fuck up, please. You see, I'm not gonna allow this on my channel. If this ever comes around, when I open panels up now, because I've noticed this is constantly a trend that a lot of women, black women, are constantly interrupting some of these men. And that's unnecessary. Behave yourself. Respect yourself. Show some class. Let the next person speak. You shut the hell up. I says, and I'm saying this again, constant communication is a two-way street. I speak, you be silent. You speak, I be silent. Until we get to that point, I don't think we're having constructive conversations on any media outlet as black people, personally. And that, like I said again, I'm going to say again, needs to change. Let's continue fair use and effect.
Saharan slave trade where black men are trading their women and children for alcohol and tobacco.
May I finish?
Go ahead, Dr. Umar.
The transatlantic slave trade was a European enterprise. It was not an African enterprise. Although there were some chiefs who participated in it, by no means did they control the direction and extension of the transatlantic slave trade. So that's number one. Number two, black men resisted enslavement, not only on the shores of Africa, but right here in America. We celebrate Nat Turner, Denmark Vesey, Gabriel Prosser. There's literally hundreds of documented attempts by African men to liberate not only themselves, but their women and their children. So to act like we just sat there and were complicit in our own oppression is absolutely ridiculous. The other point I want to clarify for your information, Cynthia G, you've never, ever heard me condemn the civil rights movement. The good Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is a hero of mine. And despite me being a Pan-African nationalist, I take issue with other black nationalists who do want to dismiss Dr. King's accomplishment. The civil rights movement was necessary because it removed a psychological scar that suggested of racial inferiority. So you've never heard me deride the civil rights movement. I support it, although I took certain issues with it. The bottom line is when black women, black girls, black boys listen to this conversation we're having today, they're going to be confused because they hear two brothers speaking of a greater context to the problems that affect black men, and you hear two intelligent, beautiful black women who want to keep scapegoating.
Actually, Dr. Omar, two women are Tamara Hall and Cynthia G. The other one you see on the far upper left near you is a. But like I said, I don't think you're aware that you're referring to a. I'm a. But let's keep going.
Goading Black men while ignoring the historical and contemporary systemic challenges that are constantly placed in our way. I'm gonna say this and be quiet, Sister Tammy. I gotta give you this. There was a recent piece of research, Tammy, that came out. And the research said a Black man with a master's degree, they did a study. They had white males who had come out of prison apply for jobs. They had Black men with master's degrees, Sister Tammy, apply for the jobs. And guess what? The white males with prison history and no education were called back more than 75% of the time than Black men with no prison history and a master's degree.
I'm aware of that. I am aware of that survey. Yeah. I am. Hope, I saw you give Dr. Umar the side eye.
Only because I can't, you have 1,001 clips on the internet, but I know for a fact that one of the things that I was offended about in doing research or just seeing you on the internet is that you have definitely talked about your disdain for some of the practices of Dr. Martin Luther King. So to sit here and gaslight us as if most of us have not seen.
That's not true. Find the clip. Find the clip.
Well, Dr. Umar, you yourself said you yourself just seconds ago said you did find some things in the civil rights movement problematic.
But I supported the movement and I still support it. I visit
everyone supported
every time I'm in Atlanta. I have never been
as a Black man, as a Black person in
America. If we're going to have the conversation, let us be honest.
Did y'all caught that again? So as a Black person, a Black man, did you hear? Y'all caught that, right? Y'all caught that, right? Did y'all catch that? Now, mind you, if I didn't follow other people's streams when I'm talking about this now, I would question that right there. Why would this person refer to himself as a man? Unless you are a and you live in a so your life, as we know, as we witnessing on this panel, you are definitely is and for will be a. All right, let's keep going. Furious in effect.
Let's not misrepresent.
You're the only one not being honest, Umar. You're not being honest.
Find the clip. We don't have to argue about it. We don't have to argue about it.
You just admitted to it. We don't need to.
60 seconds left on 60 seconds left on this segment. We won't be able to find the clip on this show. But Hope, finish. Hope.
Essentially, whether we find the clip or not, we know that those things have been said, and you know that you've said controversial things. Once again, we see you moving the goalposts when you find
controversial according to who?
We find, once again, because my thing is you and Cynthia can have that dynamic, but I give you the space to speak. I've given everybody that space to speak, so please don't interrupt me. At the end of the day,
you interrupted me as well. Let's be fair.
I did not.
You did.
And so once again, here we go in a space where Black women are making a point. It's more important to the Black.
It's not about you being a woman. It was about you being incorrect.
When Black women
are being a woman.
I respect you. You were incorrect. You were incorrect. I didn't have the issue with a woman. You were incorrect.
Well, let's all breathe in, breathe out, and I'll take a commercial break. All right?
She said something that was
we'll take a commercial break and come right back to wrap this up on the business of being Black.
They hate Black men. That's the problem. They hate.
Welcome.
Well, Dr. Omar, I mean, you didn't know that? I mean, they just want to sit there and just have like a good sparring back and forth with you. You know how sisters are. You know, they love to go argue with you a little bit. I mean, they do hate your guts when, you know, but they need you when it's needed, you know. You know how it goes, you know. So something, whether it's money or it's the dick, they need you for something, you know. So, you know, hate is such a strong word, but they got to keep, they need you. Some of them want you, but we don't know. Let's keep going. Very effect.
Back to Business of Being Black with Tammy Mack. I am Tammy Mack, and the business of being Black today is there a war being waged against Black men? Dr. Umar is getting it a little bit because he says the ladies are lying on him. And I suggest that you run through and roll through every interview and clip that Dr. Umar has to find the clip, as he would say. One thing I agree with you on, Dr. Umar, is a lot of times when we have these conversations, we start comparing Black women to Black men, and we tear one down in order to make the other's point. And oftentimes when I have these debates on the business of being Black, I notice that is often the debate, to break the other person down rather than build them up. But I do want to do some comparative questioning right here. Do Black men face more obstacles than Black women?
Now, this question right here. I'm indifferent in regards to the response they give off this. I feel as long as you're a Black person in this country, you are a double minority, and you're going to face some form of oppression from your gender. Now, will you face greater oppression? Not really, because as you know, at the end of the day, men always conflict and battle and try to neutralize and eliminate other men. So obviously, as a Black man, you're always constantly target number one, because you're the one that the competition has to keep constantly stagnate and eliminate as fast as possible. Now, as a woman, you have a place. They'll still use you, but you have a place. But like always, like any warfare, you are the end result, and that is booty, land and booty. So don't forget that, people. Fair use.
One.
I don't want to put it in a more or less. We face different obstacles, but at the end of the day, this is what we can say is true. Black women have a safety net that Black men don't have. If a Black man loses his job, like earlier, what they're talking earlier, Black men have no accountability. What if a Black man don't pay child support? He gets his license taken away, he gets his passport taken away, and he can't get a job. So
now, mind you, that was put in effect for the last 30 years in 1992 when Clinton got office. Because word on the street, a little birdie, that the child support thing that always been around for the last couple of decades was never enforced. And the states can't keep paying things that is not enforced by the man that made the constitution to knock up this particular woman that's not his wife and decide to either be involved or just complete this hell, move on with life, and then want to pay nothing. And when they start enforcing it, now you hear men saying they want 50-50 and 50-50 custody and other means, which makes sense because you can't create children and not be able to pay for some of this. Shit's not free. And that's what your president Clinton helped put into law and fact. So that way it makes an extra barrier on you to really create more of a greater or put you accountable for that type of action. And now what's going down the pipe, they even the same Republicans said they didn't want to put even more accountability and responsibility on you. If you knock up this woman, you automatically gonna start paying immediately. The minute you bust the nut in that pussy. So I would agree with the one on that. You're held more of the burden because, like everything, you are hoarding the resource. And women like to spend the resource. Let's keep it on that note. Fair use.
There's accountability there. When it comes down to when a Black man messes up, he's going to go to prison far longer than anyone of any other race or any other sex. So we have the most extreme consequences. But when it comes to a safety net for when we mess up, when we're down in our life, there are no programs for Black men. You can't go through the government and say, hey, if the Black men with children, here are these list of programs that only men can get. But it's a whole lot of stuff out there for women. So what's happening, what I'm seeing right here is a lot of lies being told, but a lies of omission. Omitting these safety, the fact that women have these safety nets that black men don't have, and also omitting the fact that in spite of all this, 3 out of 4 black men still get married to black women, and we still provide and we still do these things. So yes.
Now, what do you mean by 3 out of 4? You talking about marriage license? Because there's data to show who's getting married legally and who's doing the so-called jump broom. Well, I don't know if the considered jump broom. Who's actually getting married? They said marriage right now across the board is barely struggling at over 50% for Americans. For black people is roughly under 30%. So where does 80% black men getting this number at? I'm confused with that. And I gotta be honest, because if you say you're getting married 85% by black women, then it should reflect that it should not be a 30% marriage rate in the black community. I mean, that's how I look at it. But let's keep going. Fair use effect.
But Dewan, what Cynthia would say is, how come you haven't created your own programs?
Well, I personally created my own program. I've written 2 books. You know what I mean?
But that's not a program.
No, I know. I also have a whole program on how to communicate to your children and how to communicate to families, because my thing is about solutions.
Well, you're talking about safety nets. So the question becomes, how come black men haven't created safety nets?
Black men, the Nation of Islam created what they can create as far as safety nets goes. Black independent organizations create safety nets for each other all the time. I'm talking about governmental safety nets. We can't go to the United States and say, hey, we need something only for black men, because it doesn't exist. There's a whole welfare program coming out in Atlanta that's only for black women. Same thing in California. There's a whole universal basic income that only black women can qualify for.
Now, the universal basic income, I've been hearing about that, been floating around throughout the internet for the last few years. I'm not sure if that's really put in effect. So the one, you're going to have to show some receipts on that one, because they've been talking about creating a university UBI for some time now. And not supposed to be for just women. It's supposed to be for majority Americans. Personally. And I digress.
Black men can't
but do you believe that that's because black women came together and said we need a program?
No, the reason why that happens is because the white supremacist plays on this schism within black society, and they give one side greater gifts than the other, and that can lead to infighting. And then people who don't analyze what's really going on, they're going to just see the result and not see the cause and say, what's wrong with black people? That's the government's tricks going on like it's always done. Let's elevate one group over the other and watch these 2 rascals fight each other. That's what's going on.
Okay. I'm not sure that anything governmental is a gift, though. I hope.
I think that when we talk about it, a lot of those programs, especially the ones from back in the day, since we are going to do the history thing, were not just made for black women, but black women accessed them because black women were the ones that were in the household that had to take care of whatever was left when the government did steal our black men away, or when black men did fall into the hands of white supremacy. But I also think that the question now is, if you don't see that those things are happening, if we're not seeing those things in influx, then what are the greater black male population doing to
I'll tell you what a great black male population is. A good portion are not doing much at all. And the ones that's doing much or doing what they're supposed to do are not getting noticed. They're not getting broadcasts, unfortunately. And another thing, to side note, let me put my thing close up. A side note, people that must understand. Let me do this. Side note. You're not going to see no broadcast on Fox News, NBC, CBS of the positivity of what black men are doing. Let's scratch that. If women are expecting and waiting for the white media to sit to show the positivity of black men, you are delusional. You need to get your head checked. You need to go to a psych ward, wherever, because that's not where it's going to happen. They make money off chaos and dysfunction in our communities. Matter of fact, the algorithm, I tell you this, they were at put a so-called expression of feeling what I posted, and it will get more attention to the point I get notification that anything else I put that's somewhat positive. So it applies on this platform. It also applies on many other platforms, including TikTok, which really people didn't know TikTok. A side note, the agents that create the algorithm on TikTok, they put positive recreational, positive image and activities for their own homeland. But in regards to when you as a black person or a white person log in account, they're gonna flood you with nonsense, degeneracy, and things that don't make you think, but make you and keep you entertained. Imagine that? You know that? Yes. Because they know the importance of keeping a certain narrative and program circling in your beady eyes, in your consciousness, because you're gonna emulate and take and move action for what you see and hear. That's just the honest truth. Fair use and effect.
Force that these things happen. When women want things, especially when Black women want things, we get up, we say something, we talk about it, and we're going to talk about it till we're blue in the face and until we get those things done. A lot of the times what I find is that Black men think that they can ride off of those things, and then when things come to pass and they're not put into the game plan, then you're upset. Then it's like, oh, well, we thought we were going to, why? You did none of the work. You sat behind me and you watched me rally and you watched me do all of these things, and then you thought that you were going to benefit from it. And I'm sorry that I left you off, but honestly, when I was doing this work, it was hard to consider you, considering that I have to take care of you regardless in a lot of those spaces. But I also think that hit dogs will holler. If these things do not apply to you, then let's talk about how you help them to apply to the people that they do and pull those brothers out of the struggle instead of trying to defend something that does not apply to you. If it don't apply, let it fly, and let's figure out how to pull everybody into that fold instead of defending a narrative that you don't even conform to. Why are you so upset?
When I always hear like,
well, it lets you know that a good portion of men have been raised by one parent. So obviously they expect everything to be done by that parent that raised them, unfortunately. And I've seen it done countlessly, personally. And I don't really talk about this because I know the touchy subject or thing that we're not being honest. The men that you engage in have been raised by one parent. So one parent mostly doing most of everything and not really showing and diversify and really giving their sons something to really work for. So obviously they're going to sit back and hope that you'll do the work and they reap the rewards. That's what I've noticed, and that's my only conclusion to no matter why enough men don't do it. And trust me, I deal with, well, I don't deal with, but I know I hear stories of other men, and so that's even myself. I come across these men that really should, they're lazy. That's how I see it. But let's keep going. Fair in effect.
when Duane, when you were talking about the government subsidies that Black women have, it always makes me think about the movie Claudine with Diane Carroll and James Earl Jones, and you know him being the trash man and having to hide him in the closet when the people came. So I do believe that it definitely was a setup for a letdown in the Black community. Dr. Umar?
Yes, indeed. One of the problems with the conversation, not with you, Tammy, but the responses, they're so individualized. Nothing is being evaluated from a group perspective or a community perspective or a systems perspective or an institutional perspective. The bottom line is anything Black men want to do to liberate ourselves or our community, we can't do it without our women. And anything our women want to do to liberate themselves or the community, they can't do it without the men. It is not a competition.
But it is competition, my good Dr. Umar Johnson. Could we, in this Western society, we operate and function as individuals? And personally, I mean, I don't like the individual mindset, but hold on. All right, well. Anyway, we operate as individuals, and that's how I see it now, and I see moving forward. Let's keep going. Fair use.
Should be a collaboration. But once again, some of us in the conversation are so filled with hatred for the opposite gender that we can never get around to talking about solutions. And in speaking of clips, Sister Tammy, there is one clip you might want to ask Sister Cynthia about.
Oh, wait. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Doctor, don't do it. Please, I beg you, do not do it. Fair use. Fair use.
Because it was sent to me by about 30 people several months ago, maybe even weeks, where she suggested that women, Black women, should abort their Black male fetuses because after birth, they would not contribute to anything worthwhile in the Black community. Could you ask her to clarify her comments? Cynthia about, because it was sent to me by about 30 people several months ago, maybe even weeks, where she suggested that women, Black women, should abort their Black male fetuses because after birth would not contribute to anything worthwhile in the Black community. Could you ask her to clarify her comments?
I would love
Black
to.
women, Cynthia about, because it was sent to me by about 30 people several months ago, maybe even weeks, where she suggested that women, Black women, should abort their Black male fetuses because after birth, they would not contribute to anything worthwhile in the Black community. Could you ask her to clarify her comments?
I would love to.
Women?
Boom! And as you know, as this thing winds down, and this is what I'm about to do. The floor is going to be open now. We heard enough. Well, actually, I'm going to let it play a few more minutes, but that's the gist of this whole discussion. I'm going to say this personally. I know Dr. Umar Johnson doesn't watch any content creators' content on him or anything positive or negative. I'm going to say this. He is watching the space Black people interacting, whether on YouTube, Instagram, or even Clubhouse. And he's watching the trends and behaviors, how we conduct ourselves. And he has people with much bigger eyes than himself. He knows Cynthia G. He's been watching Cynthia G for some time now. The only reason why he doesn't give much energy on what the women are doing, because it's going to come to a point he's going to be confronted with these women. And he's going to point the two fingers, which I heard from other content creators he should have mentioned this in the early part of the show. I had disagreed, and here's why. Because the whole focus was only a focus on the issue with Black men. It's not the focus about what her views about not birthing Black men. He only came down to ask this question because it'll come to a point during the whole conversation after meeting her and having the conversation the first time, he is very much not pleased. He finds that she's self-hating. She's all the above. And he had to ask this question, why would you create something like that? Or do content on that? And like I said, Miss G, Cynthia G, was going to say she will happily explain it. But look what happens. Pay attention now. Fair use.
Well, I would love to too, but we don't have time. So, Umar, what I need you to do is
people several months ago, maybe even weeks, where she suggested should abort their Black male fetuses because after birth they would not should abort their Black male fetuses because after birth they would not contribute to anything worthwhile in the Black community. Could you ask her to clarify her comments?
I would love
Black
to.
Women,
well,
Black
I would
women
love to too,
needing
but we don't
abort-
have time. So, Dr. Umar.
Matter of fact, yeah, we done. Yeah. We're done. That's my issue with Fox Soul. And mind you, she said that if anybody want to ask a question about her views about the get rid of fetuses, you had to go to her fucking channel to have that discussion. Which really she's not gonna have the discussion because she's gonna stop you and gonna talk over you like she always does. Now, as y'all notice and see, Fox Soul as it always is as an organization and as a that does content on YouTube, it is its hand. They're really designed to pick and choose people that's not gonna have the conversation, but they're gonna have these people that has reputation of causing more harm and good with either bigger influencers or doing some damage to the community. One way or the other, they know how to pick them, and they pick them thoroughly and wisely. Now, I don't know about y'all, but personally, I mean, I would not support it, Fox, so much as be a part of their panels, maybe. And personally, I probably would because, like I said, the whole organization, they're more catered to women and people that's in the other lifestyle. That's me. But someone that wants to get real attention and clickbait, be my guest. Go ahead. All attention is good attention at the end of the day. Overall, the conversation, it was somewhat, to me, garbage because there's nothing in good faith. I mean, as you notice, if they really gone personal with Miss G, this would have been a whole different conversation. But I know that Dr. Omar and Dwayne I don't think Dwayne Brown knows anything about Miss Cynthia G personally. That they're not gonna have those deeper conversation with her. I know Omar won't because let's be honest, he only really paid attention to certain content creators to what people are presented to him through inbox, IG, emails about these content creators, and he gives a critical analysis and evaluation if he wants to really do content. And mind you, he's not going to say their names. And another thing that Dr. Omar, since I mentioned the brother, and if y'all guys want to come up, the link's in there. There was something that was written via text or email, whatever you want to call it. And let me see if I can find the post. Okay, let's look at this. This post by Dr. Umar Johnson. I am reviewing the Fuck Soul segment you and brethren Dewan B were on. Well done, brethren. Over said that Cynthia G is a very dangerous regardless influencing young, impressive black girls. We see too many of these old divestment dummies leading young sisters into the lion's den of being killed by those demonic white men. Okay. Yeah. Well, you can't do nothing about it. Good doctor. And I said so clear conscious, you can't do nothing about it. Because women are gonna do what they're gonna do at the end of the day. You know? And it is what it is. So, like I said before, you might have those point of views of her, but like I said, YouTube rewards dysfunction. That's how I see it. They do reward it, and the more degenerate chaos you are, the more the algorithm is going to feed into you and give you the eyeballs needed for your content. Like I said before, you probably walk into some arena that you have a business going, Dr. Omar, but I get it that this is your one-shot opportunity. If Tamara Hall was being honest with you, Tammy Hall was honest with you, and who's going to be on the panel with you, which I would say maybe she wasn't really transparent, maybe. Well, let's say if she was, you walked into that, bro. You definitely walk into that. Let me see if anybody's active. Make some calls. Matter of fact, I'll probably get Amir on his phone. Let me see. Hey, what's good, Shatter? What's up? You know, I'm here live. I'm live right now, man. I'm covering this thing with the Fox Soap take with Dr. Umar and Cynthia G. I'm not sure if you've been noticing what's going on in social media, but it's been getting a lot of attention. Serious attention.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
I ain't even seen it, man. I'm over here at the hospital checking on one of my crew real quick.
Okay. All right, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to let you handle anything. I'm going to hit you right back up. Is that cool?
All right, that's good.
All right, cool. All right. I don't think Shad was aware of it, so let me find someone else that is. Keep it short. All right. Hold on, guys. Hey, what's good? What's good, man? You hear my take on it? You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure you probably saw it the first or second time. What's your overall take, Amiri? And this is Mary Brown from the Mary Brown Show, everybody.
Oh, hey, how y'all doing?
Yeah.
My overall take is, first of all, and I think what you saw on there, you saw it was a conversation that was only being had, number one, for clicks and views. It was maximum gender controversy, and the first reason why I'm saying that is because to have a trans woman up there on the panel and not to market to the other panelists and to the audience that was a trans woman is the first sign of disingenuousness when it comes to having this discussion.
Okay.
The other part is to have a polarizing misandrist figure like Cynthia G on the panel as well is the second sign of disingenuousness. And then the other thing about it is what I didn't like about the conversation was, if we're going to have a conversation, is there a war against black men? Then, to be frank, it should have been on an all-black male panel.
Okay.
It should have been nothing but black men having this discussion. Why are black men discussing black male issues, having this discussion with black women? And then the other part of it was this thing where we always have to qualify our masculinity and our manhood to everyone. And then the very idea that Cynthia G could stand in any level of authority to question someone of Dr. Umar Johnson's academic caliber is absurd. Cynthia G is a shrill, loudmouth YouTube personality, and so when just looking at the panel, that cheapened the actual validity of it for me. That cheapened the actual validity of it for me. When we're having serious discussions of this level of importance, it's my view that intellect, logic, reason, empathy, passion, and compassion should be at the forefront of these types of serious discussions. Again, what we're looking at with Fox Soul and Tammy Mack is another way of where we commodify the black experience, and we reduce the black body down to merely a material good. We can in one way or another monetize it. This has been the totality of the black experience in America, and that's irrespective of gender. But and that's what I'm talking about. This thing where Cynthia G is going to lecture black men and tell, listen, I don't have to qualify myself to you. Period. I don't have to qualify myself to you. Since when if I'm in a superior position, then what makes you think I have to explain myself to you? That's like me having to explain myself to my daughters. Are you serious? I don't have to explain myself to my daughters. And then this whole thing talking about black men have done nothing. Are you serious? The very notion and idea of white supremacy as a system came from a black man. Why you sit there talking about black men have done nothing?
Mm-hmm.
If we as black men have done nothing else, we've existed. Were it not for the very existence of black men, is Cynthia G and her ilk suggesting that if black men just by some magic, some Thanos snap was snapped out of existence, their experience in America would somehow be better? That they as black women in America, if black men were totally absent and didn't exist in society, they would be safer? Or less, they would be more safe than what they are now. So if we've done nothing else, we've existed. Black men have fought in every major military conflict that America has had. So when we talk about the very American democracy that contemporary black women walk around and enjoy, black girl magic and how Stella got her groove back and living your best life, all of these things were brought to you by the blood and sacrifice of black men, while you walk around in the 21st century asking and asserting they've done nothing. Are you serious? See what will normalize these toxic elements? The problem that I have with Cynthia G is the same problem I have with the goddamn manosphere. These people are an enemy to black progress, period. They're toxic. And they're only doing shit to make fucking money.
Facts.
Y'all are in no moral position to question what have black men ever done. If we've done nothing else, we've existed. And that existence has made your life easier as a black woman. Because if it were not for black women, were not for black men, Cynthia G would not be relevant. You wouldn't have nothing to talk about. You're not intelligent or read enough to talk about any goddamn thing else. What you gonna talk about? The economy? You're not gonna read any books on economics. You're going to talk about politics. You're not going to read anything on politics. So were it not for the very existence of black men, your ass wouldn't be relevant as a content creator. So if we've done nothing else, we've existed. And that existence alone has been enough to make your life easier so you could buy a house and be on Fox Show, which allows sure my ass. See what I'm saying? They don't want me to, these people do not want me to get any exposure. If they get ready for work, all of them won't get work. You won't get messing around with a Mary talking that dumb shit.
And one thing I like about you, Mary, is the work you putting out. Like it's not you just run your mouth. You're dealing with just the information hold that rather is looked at already or that has not been talked about and something more examined much deeper than what our eyes not picking up. If you think about it, I said this earlier that she referred herself as a psychologist as well. I said, what credentials do you have? Because Dr. Omar has a doctorate in it for over 10 years now. He's with these children. He studied.
Cynthia G isn't even a published author. So why is she even up there having a discussion with Umar Johnson? And again, like I said, that should have been an all black male panel. When it's black women issues, it's all black women panel.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Where's this thing where everybody wants, and this is why on a certain level I tell you there's validity to some of the things that Manosphere says, because it's always this thing where as black men we have to qualify our masculinity and our manhood. Like I don't have to explain myself to you. I don't have to explain myself to anybody, to be honest with you, but especially black women. Anything that I do in service to black women is coming from my own internal moral compass. I don't have to explain myself to you though. I don't have to qualify the decisions that I've made. I don't have to overextend myself to quell your anxieties that arise from your experiences with black men. If I do that is me showing compassion and empathy. And I don't think it's too much to ask from black men of their women to have that same compassion and empathy. This is the problem I have with the master, because with what they're doing, we create a climate where we won't have empathy for one another. That's the problem that I have. We don't have to explain ourselves to black women when it comes to our personal choices, life choices and decisions, and always have to. This is what I'm talking about. This thing where we always suspected. It's just like when we was on Clubhouse and they want to come in there. Those trolls want to come in there talking this dumb shit, really trying to assert that 70% of black men are sexual predators.
Bro, it's crazy, man.
And this goes to show you what they're on, because it's not really about solutions. Because when you're talking about something that's serious, and you can't gender It can't be about gender. The only two categorizations in that conversation that matter are perpetrator and victim.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about gender, because when we start looking at the sexual assaults of a little girl, that's saying 70% of little girls will experience this. It's not saying 70% of it will be done by men, by black men. Who do you think you run the game on? That's going to be child-to-child sexual contact. That's going to be woman-to-woman sexual contact. And that's going to be male-to-female sexual contact. So it's not saying that it's just 70% of black men. So the very idea or the notion is that we have to be more protective of black women or black girls when it's a male around, and we can be less protective when they're around other girls or older women, as if they can't be perpetrators and are perpetrators as well. So do you really want to solve the issue, or are you using the specter of your black female identity as a way to further drive a wedge between black men and black women because you have your own personal agenda? See? Yeah. Because when you're looking at that statistic, it's including male to female, female to female, and child to child sexual contact. It's not a gender thing.
But Mary, since you mentioned that, why is it these people, not this woman, but just our people in general, when they put out this data, they're leaving that part out? They only focus on just the only one sex. Is it really for a deeper conversation, or just really just to draw attention, just to put the shot on them that they reveal something that say, I got this only is because it's you, so now you must come not only worship but support me because I'm revealing the truth? It's like some occultism.
It's a thing where this is all about, I told you, this is the rise of nihilism, how you break down family, how you break down community, because inherent in that, again, these people are influencers.
That's what she is.
What the implication is that, so for example, my daughter should feel a greater camaraderie with a black female personality than with their own father when it comes to their fucking protection as black women, even though they're my child. See? Yeah. So you make it a gender thing to destabilize the dynamic.
Okay.
That's what they do.
Yeah. That's
why they want to sit here and finger wag, and this is the problem. Cynthia G, like, you don't qualify my experience as a black man. You don't qualify that. The same way there's certain things that you experience as a black woman that I know nothing about, and that I just have to sit and listen because I can't speak to it from an experience perspective. I don't know what it's like. That goes both ways, sweetheart.
Facts.
This is the problem. Let me tell you. There's nothing wrong with men setting boundaries. Like with my wife and my children, I have to set boundaries and let them know that all of this shit y'all experiencing and living in, this is my shit.
Facts.
I want myself to the bone. It's like that. It's like that Denzel quote in Training Day. I run shit here. You just live here. And that ain't got nothing to do with being no misogynist. It's because I pay the cost to be the boss, and I don't complain, and I set the example.
Facts.
That's the only example they have to go by. And so, and what my very sweat equity and blood and tears have created and maintained, you think you're gonna lecture and question me? This is what creates the attitude that many brothers have today. I understand it. But when I'm conciliatory with black women, stuff like that, it's because I'm imparting empathy. And the reason why I'm doing that is not because I'm pandering. Like they trying to say, they're pandering, living off black women. Man, I make money. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
I make money. I just got a statement today from my realtor with the 3 scenarios of what I would get if I sell my house. So I make money. I don't need to be on pandering to black women to get some money. I ain't Taz, I ain't Pookie and fucking Ray Ray. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, you know, this thing where they want to act like I'm doing that to pander and trying to make money off black women. No, I'm imparting empathy to you because I want you to give empathy to me. I want it reciprocated. And that's the type of environment and climate we have to make. But just looking at the thing with Fox Soul, that should have been a panel discussion with nothing but black men.
Period. Yes.
It's a black male issue you're talking about. Everybody else can do it, but when it comes time for us, and everybody want to come chime in and then lecture us and tell us what we are and we aren't doing. If a black man ain't putting a spaceship on the moon, he ain't shit. Six the guy, and that's what I'm telling you with this whole femininity fake shit. Six the guy that said that a black man, no such thing as a black man being high value. Wait a fucking minute. So you're telling me if a brother hits the books, goes to school, becomes a goddamn neurosurgeon, top in his field, is making $1 million, he's that fucking high value. So what that is you're gonna get in the house with him and use the fact that he's black to talk shit.
Basically,
it's to delegitimize his accomplishments, and these accomplishments are just universal in any culture, in any society, in any group. That is a high status, high value position. But all of a sudden, when it's a black man in position, he ain't high value. So you want to use his blackness to this quality to devalue him. Well, why you sit here talking that fake femininity? Why you think I don't go with that, man? You let them talk, and they really tell you what it is. They gonna get in there, and they gonna act just like the rest of these women.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The man does all that. He's high value. Period. It's high. It's enough to make anybody else high value. It makes the Indian high value. It makes the Asian high value. It makes the white man high value. But when it comes to a brother, he ain't high value. But if it was a black woman, she's high value, though. Yeah. So it's good enough for everybody else, but it ain't good enough for him. And then wonder why brothers have the attitude they have.
Yeah.
But I know why.
You're right.
No, man, it don't work like that.
You're right. And not only don't work like that, it shows that there is a distinct hatred for black men. I know where it comes from, but as I look at it now, that if we talk about no excuse, we should not be still behaving a certain way like this, where it seems like A for the black man does not good enough. You get me? And really, you don't want enough really good enough, because let's be honest, most people just want to punch and hit the black man because easy, because we're easy targets. You get me?
I gave you one. There's one on there.
With the easiest targets, bro. That's why it's easy to attack. All right.
On the other side of that bacon.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Yeah, it's with the easy targets. That's why if you look at anybody's content, it's really safe. All guns and attacks against the black man, because let's be honest, it is safe. You'll get money off it. You'll get rich if you do it right. You get me? And so I can see the frustration, And let's be honest, brothers. When Mary talks about y'all, it's always in good faith, because we are reflection. You get me?
Yeah, I'm listening. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you listen. We are a reflection of each other, person. So at times, if he's trying to bring that balance, he has to. And let's be honest, there's very few countries going to bring some form of balance at this point, But we had to have the real serious conversation. And I agree with you, Mary. That panel should have been only no woman president. It should be just all men. But I don't see that in Fox Soul. Mostly when they do their conversation, there's always a woman present. Now, if people think I'm wrong, please email me or whatever. Send me a link of the streams they do where it's all men. I'm waiting for that. If you could do that, I will recant what I said. And I want to see multiple streams of this. But mostly what I'm seeing from this crowd is always women on running the show, hosting it, and having the conversation, especially like this about issues with the opposite sex.
Right. And and I get that, black women are on social media and stuff like that, but at a certain point, if you're gonna have conversations like that, then that extends beyond merely race.
Yeah.
And you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a moral component to that conversation that we're having that supersedes the needs for rating or super chat money or monetization. You see what I'm saying? So that should have been a panel with nothing. Brothers, some who agree, some who disagree, whatever the case is, having that goddamn conversation. You're gonna take a scholar of Dr. Umar Johnson's level and have him going against the trans woman who don't divulge that she's trans, and against a goddamn polarizing social media influencer. They would never do that to a white academic.
You're right.
They would never do that to Jordan Peter fucking C. They would never do that to Jordan Peterson. But you would do it to us, though, while discussing an issue that's specifically about black men.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure I'm gonna get in touch with that lady and give her a piece of my mind on that. They don't want me to get up there. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no, they're not ready for you, bro. They're not ready for you, bro. And I totally agree that, you know what I'm saying. And listen, let's be honest. When they go through people, they very vet these people very well to have on these streams. You get me?
Right.
If they had you on there, let's say for conversation, like next year or whatever, right? They have you on there, right? Because they've been following you, right? You're gonna keep it real, and you're gonna dissect them intellectually.
Exactly.
And trust me, if you start doing it very well, you're gonna see things like what they did to Omar when he asked the question, why you have this thing about aborting fetuses. You see how Tamia protected this so-called woman and said, "Oh, that's it. We have no more time." And the show lasts for 59 minutes. Go back to all the shows, people. Her shows are an hour. She cut it very quick when Omar threw that dagger.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells you that.
Like, even to talk about whatever, like talking about the civil rights movement, and that's what we started. That's what made me start going against our talking points. Back in 2017 when we was collabing, because I done already explained to her that's some stupid shit to say.
Yeah.
Like, check this out. And see, that's why I said they're glad I wasn't up there, because I would have been like, okay, so the saying that the civil rights movement is only about white men, black men having sexual access to white women. Explain how then, prior to the civil rights movement, the majority of black women who worked as domestics, and how in 2022, post-civil rights movement, which added sex to Title VII, when it comes to employment, how did that happen? How did that happen?
Mm-hmm.
If the civil rights movement was only about black men chasing white women, then that means, as black women, you're implicated too, because y'all was a pivotal part of the fucking movement too.
Exactly.
So it's stupid.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is her saying that dumb shit, that shit proliferating. Because people ain't gonna go back to understand themselves. Just like when I broke that book down at the dark end of the street talking about the rape of Reese Taylor. Prior to the civil rights movement, black women were being raped by these marauding bands of white men, particularly in the Jim Crow South. Why did that change after the civil rights movement? Why? So that was a component of the civil rights movement. That's one thing Umar Johnson said when he talked about how overly simplistic their analysis is. But see, though, that's what I told you, bro. Accuracy of information doesn't matter when you don't have no plan on implementing that anyway. This you gonna sit up there talking about shit as psychologists.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a joke.
And we make these people relevant and validate these people with their bullshit.
Yeah.
They would have never did that to Jordan Peterson, but you'll do that to Dr. Umar Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was a bad faith argument from the beginning. Just looking to commodify what's going on. Just want to make it a commodity.
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous. You shouldn't have had. There should have been nothing but men up there, man.
Yep.
Besides the host, there should have been 4 brothers up there having that conversation.
Mm-hmm. All right. It looks like I have another guest on the panel. Mary. If you, what's up, Deidre?
What's up, Playo? I didn't know if you were still on or not, man. So I said, let me come in and kind of chime in while I'm able to talk for a little bit. What's up, Amir?
Hey,
what's up, Deidre? How you doing, brother?
Chilling, man. So I've been looking at things throughout YouTube, and it's a lot of things that have been in discussion of Cynthia G. And, you all know that everybody know I've been a brash supporter of Umar for a while, for years and so forth. And I've seen videos of which she did a recap, and, she did something, kind of inferring that she would like him to pull up and come through. And, and so I'm like, okay, so now it's becoming something for theatrics, something for views. I mean, you're basically taking a very, what I say, a very serious very serious issue about the war on black men, and you're bastardizing it with trying to make it about you and Umar when it's really not about you and Umar. And I think that's the thing that has gotten lost in this. And yes, and I understand this is Foxo, and they do their things certain ways and so forth. But I mean, we it got lost. It became more about the people on the panel, the transgender woman. Became more about Umar. It became more about Cynthia G and the other guy that was in there, who was straight up manosphere. I don't know what he had nothing but manosphere talking points, and that was a bit confusing. But so you look at all the dynamics that it created. I mean, this is like the content for a lot of people for the next week or so. And the thing about this, man, and the reason why I wanted to talk about this, because I've been very, very busy lately with business, and I'm actually getting ready to relocate back to Dallas. I'm actually heading to Dallas this tomorrow morning, and I'm probably on Sunday or later Saturday night, I'm going to do a show, kind of giving my thoughts about this particular situation. And the thing about it is, when it comes to Cynthia G, I really don't have. I'm actually going to say this, Cass. I've tried not to have issues with Cynthia G, but every time that I attempt to be like, okay, she's doing her content, she's making her money, it's no use to criticizing, but she always tends to do something and say something outlandish, and then she tries to legitimize as if everybody else is wrong and she's the only one that's right. And that's the thing that disappoints me about her, because a lot of her rhetoric is not substantiated by anything that's factual. And when she sat there talking about, I mean, Dr. Umar, and this is verifiable, he has 6 degrees. This guy has 3 psychology degrees. He has actually 4. He has a psychology degree, he has a counseling degree, and he has a master's degree in school counseling and clinical psychology, and he has a PhD. And you're gonna sit there talking about she actually had the gall to say she was a psychologist, which I thought was comical. In talking back to Umar, and then saying that you're trying to psychologize me, trying to pathologize, which is not even a word. And I'm like, what is this? Like, this is the thing that frustrates me about YouTube. This is why I don't do debates, particularly on topics that are within my expertise with people, because people start to turn away from things, saying things, and they think that subscribers and popularity yields that you know what you're talking about. And that's just not the truth. I mean, that was a guy, man. I was on. I came on a panel with Kwame Brown probably about 3 weeks ago, right? And I was actually talking about the TikTok therapist, and I did a video about it. And I came up, Kwame Brown, let me speak, and he was happy that I was able to talk, because I was, this is what I do for a living. And a guy that was on the panel, and then he did his own show, said stuff about, he looked at my subscribers and said, why should we listen to him? He only has 1,000 subscribers. Now, forget everything else that I have, that I'm doing in real life over the last 20 years, all my expertise and the success of my businesses, everything that revolves around mental health, all the accolades that I have. He flat out excused all of that and said, well, he only got a lot, he only got his Rebirth channel only got like 1,700 people, and so what does he really mean? I mean, why should we listen to him? and to me, that's a problem. That's just a problem, where people are excusing what people are doing in real life with real credentials and real credibility. And to me, in talking about this, Cynthia G and the transgender person was basically excusing Umar on the basis of everything that he's done. I'm not even going to get to the gender aspect of it, but to sit here and act like white supremacy doesn't exist, that's ludicrous. You know, that's just ludicrous. You cannot sit here as a black person and do the work of white supremacy, and you want people to listen to you. And I've had Cynthia G um subscribers come to my channel and troll before, particularly when, she was kind of hanging out with a certain group of people, and I used to do some content on particularly one person. They used to come there trolling and telling me, you don't know anything about black pathology. I'm like, you mean the person that you all claim is talking about black male pathology? She doesn't know anything about black male pathology. I mean, she has a psychology degree does not train you to do anything. I know because I have one. But what a psychology degree is a knowledge-based degree that prepares you to do research and prepares you to get a master's degree or PhD in a higher level or advanced degree in the field. That's what a psychology degree prepares you for. It does not prepare you in the marketplace to utilize any skills related to psychology, because the psychology degree itself does not train you in that. You learn the actual application of research or counseling related or psychological techniques. You learn that in a master's degree program or a PhD program. You don't learn that in a bachelor's level degree. And this is like simple. This is like stuff that's like elementary, like never talked about in the midst of other professionals like myself to even discuss this. But on YouTube, I was flabbergasted at the fact that she mentioned I'm a psychologist too. I'm like, what?
But you got to understand, Darrell, this is where we at as a society, as a people. We're faking, we're acting as imposters, and people not question credentials. And remember, Dr. Umar had flanked about his credentials. If you remember that back a couple years back, and he had approved when he went to court for something about this, right?
Yeah.
And I know he graduated because I fought another sister from Chicago that lives in Arizona. She does countless content with Omar as special guest. And he took a picture back in 2012 of him with his doctorate degree.
Right.
But it goes to show that people don't know the history of a lot of people because people are not following these people. They're going by he said. But her, she has to really show some credibility. Because you go around like you're a psychologist, you just see a degree, but it does give you the advocation about clinical therapy and talk about you pathologizing a certain group of people.
First of all, when you're talking about psychopathology deals with distress, duration, deviancy, and defectiveness, and so forth. It deals with aspects of the DSM as it relates to personality disorders and certain other different illnesses that contribute to you causing harm to yourself or other human beings. That's what psychopathology encompasses. And she doesn't speak of that. When she gives examples of psychopathology, and she talks about black male psychopathology, and you list an event in which, let's say, this black man, 35, killed 4 people. Some of them were his family members, and he did this and he did that. And then she basically states that, this is the pathology of black men. They hate people in the community, so they kill them. And this is the pathology of black men, as if this is just exclusive to black men. And this is a human psychopathology goes across any group of people. It's not just exclusive to black men. Um, uh, as far as black men doing these things, and to me, and it also segues into this whole myth about the black men killing black women every 5 hours. That to me, this is worse than the bullshit that the manosphere says when it comes to abortion and when it comes to the whole thing about 80% of black women are having sex with 20% of black men, which is something you cannot measure, and there is no accurate way. And I put the emphasis on accuracy, because when you're talking about research, again, as I tried to tell some of these fools over there by Teapot, you have to look at the reliability of the research. You have to look at the validity of the research. And just because somebody puts out numbers and you're just looking at percentages and numbers, don't mean that that's true. In regards to the 5 hour, for as black men killing black women every 5 hours. So that means that because you think that means automatically every time a black woman dies and it's a murder, you're automatically assuming that it's a black man that did it, when in fact there are white men and other races of people that are killing black women also. And actually, the case is actually more for the fact that particularly white people getting away with killing us.
Exactly.
So we have to account for limitations, and we have to account for other scenarios that would occur when we're quoting this research. And in every bit of this research, they never talk about the limitations. They never talk about the error. And this is what I've told these fools in the manosphere. If you're not willing to talk about the errors of research and the limitations, and you're not going to talk about the manner in which the research was compiled, which is basically the data collection, the style of data collection, then we can't have a conversation, because that's what they teach in research. That's what you learn when you take statistics and you take research and experimental. That's part of a psychology degree. That's what you learn. You learn the fundamentals of research, particularly social, in the social sciences or behavioral sciences as far as research. So if you're not willing to talk about those things, I can't have a discussion with you. You can't sit there and make these blanket statements such as Martin Luther King did nothing, Malcolm X did nothing, and things like that. And you can't speak of anything you did. You can't speak of anything that you have done that would be comparable to anything that any of those guys did, for you to have the gall to disparage them, or speak negative lack thereof based on hindsight. This is revisionist history here in regards to how we would look at Dr. Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or all the people that she basically tries to minimize their contribution to why we have the ability to do what we're doing as we speak.
Yeah. I see some in the comment section. Let me read a few comments. By Aaron Collins. Foxhole dies seems to be bunch of angry old bitter hags has been hags, yes. And one thing, right? I just saw a news clip about a Hispanic man who beheaded his baby's mother after the argument in broad daylight a few days ago near San Francisco. Damn. Yeah.
Another thing, man, you cannot look. And another thing that disappoints me about Cynthia G and her rhetoric, and to me, it's equivalent to the manosphere. And I hate to make these comparisons, but a lot of this off the wall extremist talking points is quite similar. Whenever you start using social media, such as Twitter, YouTube, Facebook as a means of to substantiate your talking points. You're starting from that's a flawed concept of basing those claims, because social media, even though it can be reflective of the society, it's not in full scale. Um, what I would say a presentation of what truly occurs in our community or in American society as a whole. You're going to see snippets of it. Matter of fact, I was watching a show the other day on local news where they were talking about, and this was something that I didn't know about, was that people are going on TikTok and who have different diseases and suffering, and they're basically addicted to displaying their sadness online, right?
Wow.
Yeah, people are addicted. People are actually addicted to letting people know how much pain they're in, how screwed up their life is, or they got the sickness or ailment or whatever, or this is going on bad, and they go on Twitter or TikTok every day telling people how horrible their life is, and they get off on doing this every day. And there was a psychologist that was up there. It was a black lady who was up there discussing issues in regards to the pathology of this and what it relates to, how to treat it, and so on. But my thing is that the lady that the person was asking questions about it, they were talking about the validity of some of these people who may be acting, who may be over exaggerating things, who may just be putting on something just for the mere fact of getting views or getting attention, because it's a lot of this is attention based. And so, you know, for Cynthia G, in a sense, you can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. You're
Okay.
clear.
She's put herself in a position in which now she's doing anything for clout or for anything to keep her channel relevant.
Got to.
Eh,
This is his
yeah,
main source of income, fortunately.
this may be her only source of income,
Yeah, I know.
because we don't know if Rob paying child support. Let
I'll
me
say
quit.
this. I'll say this. He's probably paying 50-50. Guarantee that. That's a fact. That's a fact. You know what I'm saying? 50-50
But
custody.
but see what, in a way, this actually reminds me of when, I don't know if you saw the debate between Taz and forgot the guy name, uh, on Sinetta TV.
Jabari.
Jabari. Yeah, this actually reminds me of the debate with Taz and Jabari,
Mm-hmm.
where when you really look at it, I mean, even though Jabari is more known in the conscious community, I mean, Taz is seen as a villain, and this guy goes on every day claiming he's teaching black woman empowerment, if you want to call it that. He goes around talking about history and all these different things. And one of the things that he would do, he would talk very negative about Marcus Garvey.
Yeah.
And he talked ill of Marcus Garvey. It was actually quite disgusting. A lot of stuff he said was not true. And Jabari just skillfully pointed those things out, told him to do more research, get more information for you to speak on these things. And the reality is that Taz has no credibility to be speaking on anybody in history.
You're right.
But
You're right.
you can get away with that. And I'm not discouraging people for doing research and being self-taught, because Malcolm X was self-taught. There's a lot of Frederick Douglass was self-taught. There are a lot of people who were self-taught. John Henry Clark, to a certain was self-taught. So I'm not going to take away any of that, but you got to, in a sense, in my opinion, have some level of credibility, because with having credibility, it fences you to say stupid, asinine comments that are just emotionally triggering so that people can come and flock to your channel. Because if you have credibility, you have a certain standard that would prevent you from doing those things.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. Like I said, wherever you are in another platform, you could be much more relevant and known in other platforms and create a new identity. That's how I look at it. So when we hear
Right.
about these fake scholars, I mean, or I tell people keep your eye open, because there are people just pushing out certain message just to get an audience, and let's be honest, majority of Negroes don't read much books anyway. So if the only time they start reading and showing evidence when they googling, that tells they're not reading at all, in my opinion.
Yeah. And the thing about it, people have to understand Google does not, everything you Google is not accurate.
Yeah, I know.
Excuse me. It's not accurate, and the information that you look up only gives pocket of information. It doesn't necessarily go in detail as with a published book would give you detailed information. Excuse me. Would give you detailed information in full scale. And so, like, say for instance, for her, she used to quote Pew Research a lot.
Mhm.
And Pew Research is not the most reputable research. It's more of an internet Google type, which I'm not trying to take anything away from Pew Research, but there are a lot of other research organizations and institutions who are far above them, and if you're only looking at research from one source, that's a telltale sign you don't know what you're doing. Because
Right about
if you're quoting research, you have to look at research from all over the place. You know, you may want to have 7 or 8 sources or more, not just one place. You or like with the manosphere, they love going to the blackdemographics.com for every fucking thing, and then they misquoting the CDC. You know, um, on statistics. So I mean, to me is, I guess you can perceive anybody individually the way you want, but I just say that people have to be mindful of the stuff that they talk about and how it affects other people.
They're not gonna do that.
Yeah,
I
you're right. People
mean,
concerned about views, they super chats, cash app, which hey, I'm not trying to tell people not to hustle and make their money, but you know,
mhm.
your life, you transition to different things and do certain things as progress in life. You don't stay stagnant. But I mean, people can come up here and say I'm Professor Z and do something on one topic, and people think they all automatically are an expert
Mhm.
just on the basis of what you said you were and what you were doing, with no receipts to show that.
Mhm. Yeah. Matter of fact, there was something that Aaron wrote in the comments section, the chat room. He writes, "The master and the divestment movement are really just two sides of the same coin." Yeah,
Right.
they're the alternate. So
Two
yeah,
sides of the same coin who both won't admit that they're totally wrong. You
yeah,
know,
and
they
that's one
they,
thing.
they
Yeah.
will not admit that. And so, and then the thing about it is that um, you know, you can't take everything for face value.
Mhm.
And I encourage people, do your own research. Look up things yourself, read things yourself.
Mhm.
And if there's something you like or dislike about it, whatever, you want to do videos on it, you're happy to do so. But when
Yeah.
you hear like stuff from Cynthia G, she speaks in the majority language, like it's a one size, like this is what black men do or don't do. And yes, and I say it, yes, black men have done a lot of negative things in the community.
Mhm.
or made mistakes, and those things need to be corrected.
Mm-hmm.
And and this is just the space, man. This is the space we're in, I guess.
I mean, in time, Deidre, content like this, has to be examined, look at, in my opinion. Wait, I see somebody wrote dialogue. Who's this? What's up, fellas? Salute to Deidre and Kofi Nino. Okay, narrative of dialogues. What's good? How you doing, brother? And what's up, yes, right? Straight. What's good? Good seeing you. I do this, and personally, if you didn't catch the broadcast, I advise you to catch the early part of the broadcast. Deidre, that I'm not gonna do more content on Foxo. It came to my conclusions. Oh wait, I have somebody in the panel. I'm bringing up in a second. I came to my conclusions that is solely designed to show and depict Black people in America as only two things: weirdos and feminists. And when I mean weirdos, I mean the confused community, the LGBT community and stuff. This is a
Right.
representation of Black people in America. And Black people are going to have to make a constant, they're going to have to fight back on this. Because there's no way hell there should not be a channel that we don't control, putting out so-called Black conscience and soul, and there's no real depictions of average people doing things to the point where we're average and we do things that we should be doing. So I'm bringing up Aaron Collins. What's good, Aaron?
Right.
Hey, what's up, brothers? What's up, on
What's up? What's up, brother?
That's good.
I just want to mention, it's too much at stake here. One of the reasons why the Black community is not advancing or evolving where it should be is because it's basically bottom line. It's this whole gender war. You got Black men that hate Black women that hate Black men, but nothing is getting solved at all. While everyone's talking about going their own way and divesting here and saving themselves, what is really being done? Because I mean, it's like folks who've been talking like this, they're still here. We're still looking. Like, if you're going to do it, just do it and get out of our way so we can build. And it's just the same rhetoric that's going on. So it's really it's a broken record. It's really what it is. No, Black men are not perfect. Okay, but that's fine though. But those of us that are doing the work, keep on doing it. Keep doing what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And the same goes for Black women. Those who are doing the work, because I guarantee, not every Black woman. I got enough sense to know this. Not every Black woman is talking about aborting her Black male baby, and definitely not talking about divesting. For the most part, Black men and Black women are still together, and Black-owned Black wealth is still alive. I mean, despite what the naysayers and a lot of these quacks and stuff on social media are saying.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
And that's the thing that's missing with this whole thing about her whole thing about selective breeding for Black women, which makes no sense. It's just laughable that people say stuff and don't think things out logically. So if you inadvertently tell Black women, or intentionally tell Black women not to date or procreate with Black men, then you're automatically desensitizing a full Black woman. Now you're going to have a biracial, ambiguous looking woman who, growing up a certain way, is going to look at, whiteness as, in a certain way that they want to be. And they're going to take on a white supremacist mindset towards Black folks. So I'm like, are you sure this is what you want? Saying this stuff. Like, she was like, it just baffles me that people would, just say or do anything. So, but the reality is that Black men overwhelmingly are going to marry and date and procreate with Black women. That's not going to ever change. No matter what you say on social media, that's not going to change that.
Mm-hmm.
Black men, for the most part, black women, for the most part, are nurturers. And the ultimate, I mean, basically the main personality that many black women have, like I was saying, are nurturers. And about maybe 9 out of 10 black women are gonna stay around and keep their babies, regardless. I mean, it's just not in the nature of black women to take care. They destroy their own seed. Well, I mean, we got to realize this, that throughout the history, it was black women who nursed entire civilization. When the white women didn't know how to take care of their babies, or simply just didn't want to, that was a black woman's breast that fed these babies. So black women, for the most part, are nurturers, and black men, for the most part, are protectors.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You're right about that. Let me see who's right in the comment section. Okay. Cynthia G is going to ride out her vulgarity of aborting black male fetuses as long as the fuel the fire to keep her crazy ass relevant. It's a mess. You have to know the clout chasing when you see it. Next question by Narrative Dialogue. Deidre, did you do a part 3 to the Passport Bros?
No, man, it was funny you asked that. I didn't, man, and I think it was 2 weeks ago. I was going to do a part 3, and there were people saying that you had those who didn't like what I was talking about with the passport. The guy Joshua, I wasn't able to get in contact with Joshua. I need to check up on him. I wanted to interview him again,
Well, I'll say this. Joshua,
but not. Yeah.
he be listening to the other channel. I'm going to that right now. So if you're able to get in contact, cool. If not, it's not no worries. If I have you back on the show, maybe he'll call back up again. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to deflect to what's the topic at hand, but he feels that if you're not getting the success here in America when it regards to the mating market,
Mm-hmm.
then by all means try your luck elsewhere, especially at a certain age now. Because let's be honest, I don't want black men to die alone, but you go out there, you know what I'm saying? And if you're not
Right.
getting the outcomes you do get, and you're up in your feet out here for you, Dieter. Um,
Right. I mean,
yeah, you might have to take a trip, and don't and trust me, if you have money, yeah, a woman outside America will love you because you provide something, which that's what they want anyway. But that's all I can say about that. Dieter.
right. I get it. I get it.
Like I said, when
Hey,
you
D. Is your channel called The Rebirth?
Yeah, Dederell the Rebirth.
Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, I think I'm already following you then, bro.
All right, cool. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, the men that travel, there's always when you travel, it should be for constructive reasons. It should be last thing you want is access to more coochie if you're not getting them, because we all know when a man gets complacent and getting more ass, productivity goes down. In my opinion, it
Yep.
goes down
Yeah,
as
facts.
evident, and we know sign proof we see right now in front of us. The men that
Right.
getting all they're very less productive. Anyway,
But
but let
check
me
this
bring.
out, too. I really did a video about the Passport Brothers too. Check this out. I mean, you do realize that when you go to these other countries, when you go to these other countries and stuff trying to look for these women, you do realize you're subjected to the laws of these other nations. They're not going to just let you run up in their territory and just take over their women and do what they do. I mean, a lot of these dudes go over there with these Western mentalities and attitudes thinking it's going to fly. It's a whole nother set of principles and practices over there when it comes to their women. Now, those dudes over there in these other nations, they may very well be disrespectful to their women and treat their women like trash, but they're not going to let you come over there with your American ass and do the same thing. That's what I'm saying, you know?
Yeah, you're right. And yeah, I'm assuming. Wait, before. Hold on. Let me see what's going on here. Let's see. Let me read this comment. Matter of fact, I'll leave the comment on. Hello? Who's this? Andre? Open your mic. Who's this? Yeah. All right, he's not ready. All right, we'll continue on. Let's see. I'll pull you back. I'll pull you back if you're ready. Let me read the last comments. Where is it? Oh. One guy said, I talked Pookie and Ray part 1, but I'm curious the focus from those pretty dudes was on how DJ Kuda was smoking a cigar. Yeah, I know about that too. And another one, Fat Aaron, they won't come back active doing that. We're talking about this on DJ Rail's panel. Okay. All right. All right. Let me see if hold on, let me just flip this here. All right. You ready? Mr. Andre? Hello? Hello? Mic's on.
I think you might have to unmute him, Chaos.
No, he's unmuted. Now he's on 2. All right. Bro, I'm not sure what's going on because you're flipping back in and out of the panel. I don't. You got 2 different mics. Your mic working? Write a message on the private chat. See if your thing is working. You there? Hello? Hello? Andre? Hello? Hello? All right. I guess he has mic issues. Deidre, let me unmute you. Can you Deidre? Yeah, you had to reverb. Yeah, I had to mute you because it's too much feedback.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry on my Bluetooth, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, I guess that's. Wait, hold on. Let me read one more comment. All right. So I guess that's pretty much it. I think that's enough. I've been out here long enough. Any closing remarks? Anyone, yeah?
Hey man, I'm happy for you to have me. I'm glad you're having this discussion. And kind of looking at things from a logical standpoint. And, you can give both fault to everybody that was involved, Umar, Cynthia G, whoever, I just wish that, people just kind of think about what they put out there without looking at you're going to be challenged. You're going to have real professors that are going to question you about stuff, you know. It's just
You're
the
right.
facts.
You're right. And the challenge needs to be challenged. And I think what she tried to do, since you told me this, Deidre, she's looking for more attention. You get me? And I think what Miss Mac did was gave it to her by setting that up. And personally, I think it was really set. Now I think about having this conversation. But like I said, I digress. Only time to tell. Any last words for you, Aaron?
Yeah, I appreciate the dialogue, Chaos, and the rail, and I remember I've seen how Cynthia G's how she's evolved. When I first listened to Cynthia, she was basically on the white supremacy train and stuff like that, and talking about white supremacy and how it's affecting the nation. She had some good points back then. And now she's merged over here into the issue with black men, and maybe she has been hurt. I'm like this with me. I try to eat the meat and spit out the bones. I believe there's hope for Sinji and even for Umar Johnson. Bottom line is we just need to build because they're both very excellent speakers and they both have some powerful platforms. If we could just put aside all of these differences and gender wars, I think we could do something.
That's what's up. Okay. Well, thank you, the real Aaron Collins. We're gonna do this again soon. Thank you, D Rail. Look forward for your stream.
All right, player.
All right. And to everybody that's watching tonight's stream, thank you for listening. Thank you for listening for today's stream. Like always, if you're new to the channel, the Chaos Rain channel, welcome to Chaos Rain, as always. And for those that will be the featured subscribers, you know the drill. You hit that red button, you hit that top notification bell for uploads and live streams here on the Chaos Rain channel. Also, follow me on Twitter at Chaos Rain 7. Add me as a friend on Facebook, Eric Rain on Facebook, and join the Discord service of the Chaos Rain channel. That link is in the About section of the Chaos Rain YouTube channel. And let's look one last comment. Oh, two more comments, actually. Let me look at this one. Cynthia has tried to quickly jump to mainstream, not thinking that comments would come up. No, and you know, she's aware of this and she was really going to go in it. But like I said, Foxo protects the people that they select because people are not really paying attention of her content. The only time they know of her narrative dialogue is through Foxo. They don't really look and find these people outside that network, but they sure will if they're not really looking for it right now. That was very controversial. Fox needs to think about that before they have her on. Well, let me tell you something to wrap this up. They know, they're aware, brother. And let me tell you how they're aware. Because the people that do their research and follow people that's trending on social media, they do a thorough background check. How I know? Because they get the emails from people that have her or anybody else on there that says controversial stuff. So don't be fooled that Tamara Hall was not aware of her content. She's very aware. And it proved it, and just proved when she had to cut the stream off, is that they didn't want her to start explaining that in front of a black crowd, majority of men and women and children. So I digress. That's the end of this stream. Like I said, be on the lookout for the next live stream, everybody. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment at the end of this video. I'm looking forward to reading your comments. And till next time, let me get us.